What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I know I am. If you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. The state of Idaho will become so irate at the fact you didn't like the video that they will throw potatoes at you until you pass out and then cook you into a stew with those potatoes. So the other night, I was hanging out with some family members, you know, as you do every now and then when there's an awkward occasion that you really can't miss. And I was talking to my uncle about YouTube and telling him that I have a channel where I make stories, and he asked me if I tell other people's stories, and I was like, yeah, every now and then. And he looked at me and he says, has your dad ever told you about my crazy ex? And I was like, no, he hasn't. And he says, come with me, and says to follow him outside. And this is not my uncle, that's a conspiracy theorist. This is one that's actually pretty normal. So I go outside with him and he proceeds to tell me a story that I instantly knew that I had to tell here on the channel, where one of his ex-girlfriends broke into his house and cut a lock of his hair off to use in a spell in the woods in the 80s. Yeah, you know, I guess back in the day, women were even crazier, but yeah, without further ado, I guess let's get into it. So, my uncle grew up in Mississippi, which I guess is a place where most crazy people originate from. I didn't know that. I thought it was Florida, but he assured me that it is in fact true that people in Mississippi are the craziest. And I guess in high school, you know, he was a pretty athletic guy, a pretty popular guy in high school, and ended up dating this girl that everybody thought was super hot. But for some reason, not a lot of guys would date her, and he was kind of like new around this school and didn't really know a ton about her. But when a hot girl shows you interest when you're a teenage boy, you know, you don't really question it very much. You're not like, what is the logical reason for her not being already in a relationship if she is so great? You just kind of are like, oh, girl, give me attention, I date. So he starts dating this girl, and right after they start like dating, he kind of realizes why nobody's dating her, and that's because she's crazy. This is in the 80s when, like, for some reason, every soccer mom with too little to do, instead of going and yelling at people and asking to speak to the managers, were convinced that almost everything that existed in pop culture was connected to, like, Satan somehow, you know? Like, oh my gosh, if you play this song backwards 47 times and take an Adderall, it sounds like he's saying love the devil. It's like, yeah, anything sounds crazy when you're in that situation, you know? But for whatever reason, there was just this huge thing where parents would be like, oh my gosh, all this pop culture stuff is getting them to believe in the devil. And I guess for the most part, it was like made up. Not a lot of people actually were listening to, you know, Van Halen and then deciding to become Satanists. But this girl that he was dating was like the opposite. She heard all the rumors about this Satan stuff and decided that it was true. She was definitely a witch. She would like try to impress him by being like, at night I go into the woods behind my house and do spells in order to show the people that have trained me that I'm a loyal soldier of Satan. And he's like, oh, this chick is crazy. This chick is nuts. But for whatever small brain reason, you know, my uncle decides to not break up with her, and I'm just gonna give you all some dating advice, so listen carefully. If a girl tells you that she goes into the woods to commit acts that let Satan know that she's a loyal follower, what you're supposed to do is a fantastic strategy, all right? You put one leg in front of the other, and then you keep doing that faster until you're in a full sprint, and then you don't look until you've crossed at least 3 state lines, because that is the amount of distance you have to put between you and someone that absolutely mentally unstable. But for whatever reason, he's like, nah, this isn't that bad. I'll just keep dating her, which is the wrong move in this situation, all right? Hopefully somebody out there learns their lesson from this video and doesn't date the girl that pretends that she's a witch. Sadly, you know, his nephew didn't learn that the right way. Anyways, my uncle keeps dating her like a moron, and sorry, about a month after this entire situation where she's kind of like, yeah, you know how it is, just going into the woods and getting my witchy stuff on. I don't really know what witches say. I'm trying my best out here, all right, but I'm not Sabrina. I'm not a genius. So after that, she's like, will you come to the woods so I can show you what's going on? And he's figured he's going to walk out there. She's going to like draw a pentagram with leaves and then they're going to leave. Like, he doesn't really think it's going to be a big deal because he's like, all right, this girl, you know, she's a little crazy, but she's hot. And you know what they say? The reason crazy girls are dangerous is because they're really fun to be around, you know? Like, it's an adventure. How often is a girl going to take you into the woods and show you where she does magic that's not real? Not very often. So anyways, they're just kind of vibing out, you know how it is, and they go into the woods, and she's like, what I'm about to show you is secret. It's a sacred ritual. You can't tell anyone. And he's playing along. He's like, oh, yeah, I won't tell anyone, but the entire time he's like, this chick is crazy. So he's kind of interested in seeing what's going on. So he follows this girl into the middle of the woods, which once again is not the smartest idea. Generally, when a woman says that she worships the devil, you shouldn't follow them into the woods. That's a really, really bad idea. That's like how you end up on Dateline, you know? What happened in this small backwood town of Mississippi was nothing short of insanity. This young man went, like, that's how you go missing and just never come home. But whatever, he follows her, and they stumble into this clearing, and sure enough, there's like, this ground has been cleared, and there's all these rocks that make like this pentagram-shaped thing, and she's like, this is where I practice my magic. And for like, what, I don't know why my uncle was still talking to her, but he's like, oh, that's cool, because like, how do you respond? And he remembers saying, oh, that's cool specifically because when he called it cool, she got all pissed and was like, what, do you think this is cool? Do you have any idea what you're looking at? And he's like, well, no, it's a bunch of rocks in the woods. Am I supposed to know? Like, this is a dialectic and witch ritual. I don't know. Like, I don't know what witches get up to, all right? Like, hey, you do you, man. I'm not judging, I guess. If you can put curses on people, that's a pretty sick skill. But, you know, he's just kind of like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to be offensive. She's like, oh, whatever. Like, come look. So she starts showing him around, you know, as if it's like a really nice hotel room. Like, oh, here's the bathroom. She's like, this is where, you know, I do all the crazy stuff. And this is when my uncle realizes that, you know, this like crazy that was kind of like, oh, well, she's hot, definitely is a little more dangerous than he thinks. So they get over to this like tree stump thing that had been moved there, and it had like almost like a bowl shape carved out of it, and next to it is a bunch of like squirrel bones. And he's like, oh, do you like find these? And she looks at him and goes, no, sometimes you have to sacrifice stuff for the rituals. And he's like, wait, hold on, what? Because this wasn't just a tiny pile of bones. He describes it as, imagine somebody built a house out of Lincoln logs, but it was just like squirrel femurs, and it's about the size up to your hips. This is a giant stack of bones. This isn't like, all right, you know, one chipmunk. This is Alvin and the whole gang, and the girl chipmunks too. They're all going down. So at this point, finally, my uncle wakes up and realizes it's probably not a good idea to be involved with a woman who is sacrificing squirrels in the middle of the woods. This sounds like the start of a horror movie, bro. Like my uncle goes missing and his ghost comes back to warn people of the witch's return. I don't know, man. All I'm saying is that finally he realizes that the girl he's dating isn't a quirky, you know, she's into edgy stuff. No, she's doing crazy people things. You know the part of the documentary where they're always like, we should have seen it coming ever since neighborhood cats started to go missing. Yeah, his girlfriend was one of those, which is not a good sign. So obviously he's like, I have to break up with you. But what happens next is out of nowhere, she's like, do you want to do a ritual? And he's like, yeah, no, I'm good. And she's like, please do the ritual with me. And he's like, no, seriously, you know, I'm uncomfortable. I'm getting a weird vibe. And she's like, oh yeah, that happens to people when they first come through here. But can we come back in a couple days and, you know, do the ritual? And he's like, well, what ritual do you want to do? And she's like, the ones that will bind our souls together forever. And he's like, you know, yeah, let's come back in a couple days and do the soul binding ritual. Yeah, not right now though, please, like, in a couple days, I don't feel well, it's a weird vibe here, the energy's off. And she's like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, the energies, you know, are perfect for summoning spirits. Like, he's just playing into crazy people talk, which I'm not gonna lie, is a pretty good skill. If you're ever dealing with a crazy person, the real way that you get out of it is you just want to play along and let them think that they're right until you can leave safely. Because when a crazy person starts saying she gonna sacrifice a squirrel to bind your souls together, you do what you need to do to get out of there with your soul intact. You know, you just gotta do it. So they leave the woods because, you know, he's pretending to be super freaked out, or he's not pretending, he is super freaked out, just not because of crazy energies, but crazy girls instead. So anyways, they go back and he's like out of the woods with her, and he's back home, and he's like, hey, you know, I've had a really fun time getting to know you, but I don't know how this is gonna work. I'm going off to college in the fall, so I don't know if I want to do this long term. You love it here, I don't. There's things I want to do. And she's like, no, you can't break up with me. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, I'm going to college, so I don't really know if I can continue this relationship and make you happy the way you deserve. He's pulling out every book in the book or every trick in the book to be like, it's not you, it's me. But it really is you, because, you know, I'm not the one sacrificing squirrels. So she's all all heartbroken and starts screaming at him, being like, we're supposed to be together. I know we're supposed to be together. And he's like, yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think so. Like, he's trying his best to try to calm her down, but she's pissed. And she's like, you're gonna regret the day that you broke my heart. She's getting livid with him, you know, saying that, like, if he doesn't take her back, then he's gonna regret it, which I feel like is a weird thing to do. Like, let's say you are a witch with magical powers. Do you really want to be with the dude that just doesn't like you? Like, you're magic. Come on. If you're really a witch, but whatever. Sometimes feelings don't make sense. So she's like, you're gonna regret the day. And he's like, yeah, well, can you please leave? You know, no big deal. So he goes to bed that night because they had gotten home from the woods late. And like I said, they've been dating for a few months, and so it wasn't unusual for the girl to be like over at the house, I guess. So nobody really questioned it when later that night, I guess early next morning would be the proper term. Like early next morning, like 9 a.m. His ex-girlfriend, that's also a psychopath, came over to the house. The mom let her in because she didn't even question it, you know. Yeah, it's my son's girlfriend. They had broken up the night before and he had gone to bed, so he didn't tell his mom that they had broken up yet. And she leaves pretty quickly after, and a couple hours later, my uncle wakes up and he goes and looks in the mirror, and at the time he had a long head of hair, you know, a very stylish, swag-tastic head of hair, and there's a pretty big chunk missing, you know, like the entire like front part of his long hair is gone. So he goes downstairs, he's like, Mom, what did you do to my hair while I was asleep? Like, why did you cut my hair while I was asleep? Because his mom, my grandma, hated his long hair. And my grandma is super confused and is like, I don't know. Last time I saw you, you had long hair. And then this morning, and she says the girl's name, left. And he's like, wait, she was here this morning? And my grandma's like, yeah, she came by for like 20 minutes earlier this morning. She went up to your room. I thought you talked to her. And he's like, Mom, we broke up last night. So he tells my grandma all about this girl sacrificing squirrels in the middle of the woods. And my grandma's like, oh yeah, then I guess it's weird that she was there this morning. I swear, parents in the 80s had no care, dude. My uncle had just told my grandma that, you know, there's a girl who had just took a chunk of his son's hair while he was asleep after she broke up, or he broke up with her. And my grandma's like, well, that's crazy. Shut up and eat breakfast, kid. I don't care. And, you know, later, next time he saw the girl, she started telling him how she had done a ritual with his hair in the woods and his life was gonna end and yada, yada, yada. And, 30 years later, he's telling me this story. So obviously, whatever type of magic she was using, she didn't go to Hogwarts because she wasn't very good at using it. Moral of the story on this one is definitely stay away from girls that tell you that they go into the woods and cast spells with, squirrels, because chances are they're a psychopath. Or, you know, keep dating them, get yourself on Dateline, whatever you really want. You know, I think the weird part about this is in college, I had a girl that thought she was a witch and put a crush on me. So I guess me and my uncle are just, you know, really just vibing. We got that same spiritual level. Anyways, guys, on that note, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new. And if you're subscribing, you might as well turn on those notifications, all right? So that way you know when I upload, because I upload videos like this pretty often. And if you do and send a screenshot to my Instagram at Scrubby, I shout somebody out every day. Today's notification shout out goes to Chard Gang 380. Big thank you for having on those notifications. That note, guys, have yourselves a good one. If you want to support the channel, check out the merch in the link down below. And yesterday, I asked the Twitter question, what's the cringiest thing you've ever seen? And the best answers were, my grandma's DMs. Well, man, you can't help it if your grandma is, in fact, a gilf. I wish you the best, but something tells me grandma and donuts at school might be a little awkward. Some girl did the renegade for my talent show. I don't think these kids realize that TikToking is not actually a talent. Every Scrubby video. Yeah, man, I can't blame you. My videos are, in fact, pretty cringe. I'm not gonna lie. But on that note, guys, have yourselves a good day. You know the saying, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And hopefully, I will see you guys tomorrow with another video. Have a good one. Get your homework done. And I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a story for y'all that is quite out there, bro. It's a subscriber story about how when they were in kindergarten, one of the kids in their class bought a katana for show and tell. Yeah, that's right, just some little preschool ninja danger going on here. Realistically, though, I just figured it would be a absolutely crazy story time that y'all would enjoy. So without further ado, let's get into it. And be sure to press the like button, or no joke, no scam, you'll get visited by the wizard from Clash of Clans and he'll blow you up. Like an eagle, stacking so much money you would think that it's illegal. I'm getting quiet now, laying low when you reach zone, wiping out, making out, stack the bread, cause you love the sound, just so I'm Alright, so I think we all know show and tell, bro. It's one of the coolest moments of elementary school. You get to just come in and drop a big flex on everybody. But I guess some kids, just don't really get the memo on what they're supposed to bring. And this is one of those situations. So there's really 3 people we gotta know about here. We're gonna name the teacher Miss Tomato, just because, from the way it was described in this message, she was very round and red, so we're gonna go with Miss Tomato. And Ninja Kid is gonna be known as Clarence, and then the kid who sent this in is gonna be Mark, okay? Now, Mark, surprisingly, didn't have any beef with this Clarence kid whatsoever. Usually when I get a story sent in like this, it's something like that. Instead, Mark just happened to sit at the same little table as this Clarence kid did. And I don't know if y'all relate to this, but back in elementary school, bro, you used to have to sit at that little table of 4 desks kind of pushed together. And obviously you didn't really get to pick who you were around, but having to spend 6 hours a day with somebody, you just kind of get to talk to them. And up to this point, they hadn't really had a show and tell yet, just because show and tell is something that I feel like is slowly being phased out. All of my little older cousins are like, yeah, man, we would do show and tell every Friday. And I'm gonna be honest, we very rarely had that. But regardless, one day Mark is just kind of sitting there in the kindergarten classroom vibing, and their teacher comes and says that they're going to be doing show and tell that Friday. And every kid just starts getting hyped, bro. They're like, let's go, massive W, I get to bring a toy to school, everyone's getting hyped. And he looks and he sees Clarence has this devilish smile on his face. And the teacher had made the announcement near the end of the day so the kids could just talk about it a little bit. And sure enough, everyone at the table starts kind of talking about what they're gonna bring for show and tell. Mark says that he's gonna bring some Star Wars action figures, Another one of his friends says that he's gonna bring his Millennium Falcon so they can play with it. Everybody's just kind of talking. And it gets to Clarence's turn to kind of explain what he's gonna bring, and he just has this smile on his face, and he's like, trust me, everyone's gonna think it's super cool. So naturally, it makes him curious, and they start kind of asking, and the only hint that they managed to get out of Clarence was that it was something that ninjas used. And obviously, when you're a little kid, that's a lot of things, bro. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle weapons do be having some options out there. But regardless, they kind of were like, oh, whoa, you're bringing something ninja related? That's awesome. Because when you're a kindergartner, you just think ninjas are the coolest thing ever. At least I did. They sneak everywhere and they have swords and they know karate. That's basically the coolest thing little kids can think of, Anyways, the next day comes, and in comes Clarence, and he doesn't really have anything in his hands. And so they ask him what he brought for show and tell, and he tells them that he had to hide it on the playground before show and tell. So whatever, they're kind of like, that's kind of weird, I guess, but don't think too much of it. And homie had hid it on the playground because he knew he was going to get in trouble for it. But whatever, that day, everything's kind of going normally at first, and then show and tell time comes. And every kid is kind of getting up, sharing these things, and most of the items are incredibly normal, bro. It's like a Barbie, Star Wars action figures, like I said, a Game Boy, nothing that was too out of the ordinary. And the class gets through most of their stuff, and there's 2 people left. It's Clarence and this other girl that are the last ones to share their show and tell items. And so the teacher asks Clarence to go, and he very creepily is like, no, I'd prefer to go last. Which, listen, I understand that's a pretty normal thing for older people, but this is a kindergartner that's like, no, I would prefer to go last in show and tell so I can get surprisings. That should have been a sign something was wrong, but sure enough, the other girl goes, she does her thing on show and tell, and now it's Clarence's turn. He's the only person left that hasn't gone, everyone's attention is on him, the school day's almost over, and he tells the teacher that he's going to be right back because he left his show and tell item on the playground. So he goes, and they had a big playground with this fence and deep grass. And, he goes over to the grass and he comes back and he's kind of hiding what he has in his hands. They could kind of see him through this window. And he comes back and he goes, all right, guys, I want you all to know that this is mine. It's not my dad's, which, is proof that it was 100% was his dad's. Kindergartners really be cracking me up, bro. Nah, this isn't my dad's at all. I'm saying it's not my dad's because it's so not my dad's, and I just don't want anyone to think that. And, obviously, if this was his, then this is an issue. And the thing that he's been covering up is a small katana. A katana. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the display versions of those, but they have the shorter one usually and the longer one. Homie had the shorter version of the katana, and he pulls it out of the sheath, and sure enough, yeah, it's a whole sword, bro. Homie decided to pull up to show and tell with the metal lightsaber, the sword. And obviously, as soon as he pulls it out, all the boys in the class are like, oh, that's so sick. But the teacher immediately is like, oh my god, is that a knife? And, you know, he's like, no, ma'am, it's a katana. And she starts demanding that he puts it away. But little kid, Clarence over here is like, why do I need to put it away? But as he's saying, like, why do I need to put it away? He's like moving it around doing sword motions because he's a little kid who thinks that's cool. And listen, I understand it is cool, but when you're in a class full of kindergartners and you're a kindergartner yourself, yeah, we don't need you waving around a katana talking about how cool it is, bro. Someone's gonna lose an eyeball. So the teacher, like, very slowly walks up to Clarence and starts trying to tell him to put it away. And he does. Miss Tomato coaches this kid down, bro, which is nice. You don't want to get fruit ninja'd. And is, like, kind of talking to the kid about his katana. And once it's away, she's asking him questions about it. And he's kind of like, yeah, my dad has it in this part of the house. And he says it's mine when I'm older, but I'm not allowed to touch it. But last night when I saw that we had show and tell, I had gone into that room and taken it and hid it under my bed. And then today I snuck it to school on the bus. And so, like, the teacher by prying basically finds out that this kid has stolen his dad's katana or whatever. Why his dad has a katana, I don't know. And decided to bring it to school for show and tell and show it off instead. Obviously, the teacher, Miss Tomato, has to call, like, the principal's office and report this. She doesn't really have too much of an option, so she has to do that. Alright guys, I'm gonna interrupt the video for just 1 second. On screen now is an Xbox gift card. I give away a gift card in every video here on this channel as a way to just say thank you to everyone who's subscribed with those notifications on. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss another post. And if you're already one of those people, well then, thank you very much. I mucho appreciate it, and I'll shut up and let you guys get back to the video now. Enjoy. So the principal and, like, the security dude from the school end up coming in, and they start talking to this guy about his katana sword, but for some reason, they never, like, took the kid from the front of the class. He was still, like, in presentation mode, and everyone's listening, and he's just telling them about the sword and whatnot. And finally, like, after 5 minutes of them questioning him, they're like, okay, well, we're gonna get you out of here. And, you know, obviously this ended up coming out later, not the same day, but they took him to the office and obviously had to call his parents and, like, ask what was going on. And apparently when they called his parents answered the phone and were like, oh my god, does he have the katana? Like, at some point during the day as their kid was at school, they had started looking for it and, like, frantically tearing apart the house trying to figure out where this sword went. Because I'm sure when you have a kid in your house, you're like, please tell me my kid does not be playing with the katana. Sure enough, yeah, he had actually taken it to school to try to show off. I will say that's a pretty bizarre thing to, like, bring to show and tell, bro, a katana. Especially when everybody else was bringing toys. Like, if you and the boys all agreed to bring different ninja weapons or something, I guess that would make a little bit more sense. But nope, in the middle of all these Star Wars action figures, up pulls the kid with the katana. You know the teacher had to have been so confused when she saw that, bro. She's like, I went to school for 4 years. I'm $50,000 in debt just to have a 5-year-old with a katana pull up to my classroom. I don't know, man. I feel like that's one of those situations where teachers really definitely deserve a little bit more pay. I'm not trying to take a katana away from an angry 5-year-old. I don't know about y'all, but kudos to them for making it happen. What's even funnier is Clarence did end up getting in trouble. They just didn't really have a choice whether or not, you know, you intentionally brought it for show and tell. If your parents knew it, you can't just bring a sword to school and get in no trouble. So he did end up getting suspended for a bit. But as I said, it wasn't like a you're an evil kid suspension. It was like, bro, the rules are the rules, and we really can't let you just bring a katana and have no consequences come towards you. On the bright side, I'm surprised it didn't kick off like a little arms race in the kindergarten classroom. You know, next show and tell, Joey brings a larger katana. After that, one of them brings a chainsaw. After that, one of them brings one of the weapons from Gears of War with the chainsaw on the front. Next thing you know, we got, like, nuclear scientists bringing their latest devices to the kindergarten show and tell to try to get some street cred for them. Realistically, though, I think that's gonna do it for the video, guys. I know this was a short one again. I'm working on a long one, I promise. I just figured this would be enjoyable because, hey, dude, this is a pretty funny story. It's not every day 5-year-olds just be bringing katanas to school, but what do I know? If y'all are in the market for some G Fuel, the energy drink for gamers by gamers, be sure to use code Scrubby at checkout. You get a pretty solid discount. It helps me out. It helps you out. If you want more content, I do have a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. I'll put a link to that in the description, along with the link to the intro song. If you feel like giving that a listen, you can find that down there as well. Last but certainly not least, on the shout-out system, we got to give a shout-out to the merch, too. The main channel hit 2 million, so I've got the 2 million subscriber merch out. You can find a link to that down there, too. Other than that, I'm going to make sure that my 5-year-old, when he's 5, not that I have a kid yet even, has access to a katana so he can be the coolest kid at show and tell. That is going to do it for the video. As I said, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you've made it this far into the video, I'd really appreciate you commenting the word poop down below. And yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and if you are, I'd really appreciate you pressing the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam, you will accidentally wake up with your language in French. Yeah, that's basically what happened with the gameplay. I accidentally selected French and couldn't figure out how to change it, so whatever, enjoy your gameplay in French today. Real talk though, today's story time actually happened live earlier on my live stream. I've been streaming a lot over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/ScrubbyOG. The pretty harmless self-plug right there, and shameless too. And we were streaming, just having ourselves a good time, playing some Minecraft, getting down in the mines, doing what you gotta do to keep the energy right. And out of nowhere in the chat, somebody starts gifting a bunch of subs. And for those of you who are like not familiar with Twitch at all, subscriptions on YouTube are free. You can subscribe to unlimited channels, it's no big deal, right? It doesn't matter. But on Twitch, subscriptions cost about $5. And there's this system on Twitch where you can give subscriptions in the chat to like random people. So I'm just playing Minecraft, doing my thing, and like the record in my chat for people who have ever gifted subs belonged to this viewer named Emily, and I think it was like 42, so an absolute crap ton. Like, Emily was incredibly generous, did not have to do that at all, and that was like the #1 record. So we're playing Minecraft, just minding our own business, and out of nowhere, this person who I have never seen type in chat or watch my chat before, I don't even think they followed me on Twitch, comes in and starts just gifting subs like there's no tomorrow. And like, before I even see them type a word in chat, they have gifted 42 subs in the span of like 5 minutes maybe. So they have tied the #1 record in my stream for gifted subs in like 5 minutes and basically haven't even typed anything else yet. So obviously everybody in chat is like, who the hell is this? I'm freaking out a little bit because, you know, 40 subs is what, close to $200, a little bit over $200 that somebody had just come in and dropped in like 5 minutes. So obviously I'm getting hyped and freaking out a little bit. And the next thing I say is like, hey, you know you can type in chat, right? Like, you don't even have to donate, dude. Like, I'll talk to you without having to donate, because it is awkward on Twitch, because a lot of people feel like they have to donate or sub, and like, honestly, if I'm playing Minecraft on Twitch, I'd be playing Minecraft anyways. I don't expect people to sub. If you do, like, it's really nice, but I don't expect people to come into my chat and spend $200 on gift subscriptions. It's not something that I ever expect anyone to do. I don't even expect anyone to give like $5. You know those clips of the Twitch girls being like, if you don't have $5 to sub to me, then you're a broke boy. That's not how I feel. I don't expect you to give me any money for streaming on Twitch. I'm playing Minecraft, not doing anything worth money. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I don't appreciate it. Like, obviously, when somebody gives you a crap ton of money, you're gonna be very grateful. So I'm like, oh my god, you know, after 42 subs, he types in chat, hey, and I'm like, hey, you know, if you have anything you want to plug, any YouTube channel or Twitter or Instagram or anything, feel free to like put it in chat, and everybody in chat should go check it out. You know, I'm trying to be nice because this dude did just give like 42 subscriptions in my Twitch chat. So I'm being nice to him. I'm telling him to plug anything, and he's like, oh, I don't have Instagram or Twitter. I only watch your YouTube videos, which, I mean, I guess is fair, but like, it is a little bit weird that you wouldn't have an Instagram or anything. Like, you're telling me that you don't have any social media at all? Like, I don't know, something about that just felt off. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, sure, you don't have any social media, that's fine, whatever. So I go back to streaming, and like, nothing really happens for maybe 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, stream goes back to normal, and I kind of forget about whatever. Like, not forget, but the stream has moved on. We're talking about something else, you know. I think somebody had joined the Discord call, and I'm playing Minecraft with some of my friends. And out of nowhere, he comes back in and gifts like another 35 subs. So now he's gifted 77 subscriptions, which is pretty damn close to $400 now in the span of, I only streamed for an hour. So this is like, in 30 minutes, he's given the stream $400 in gifted subs. So at this point, the entire chat is like freaking out and is like, oh my god, you have to follow him, you have to follow him, you have to follow him. And he says something in chat that makes my heart sink. And it's like the last thing you ever want to read as a Twitch streamer who's just gotten a bunch of money in donations. And it says in chat, I'm 11. And I'm like, hold on, what? My heart sinks in my chest because I don't want to be the guy that like stole a bunch of money from a 6-year-old in a Twitch stream that had his mom's credit card. So I see that he's 11 and my heart sinks, and I literally like log off the Minecraft server and like put my head in my hands on stream. This is on my twitch.tv/ScrubbyOG. You can go watch the VOD. It's like an hour, but I'm like, oh my God, please tell me you're kidding. I'm hoping that he's kidding, because the last thing in the world that I want is to be responsible for like some 11-year-old spending $400 on his mom's credit card to gift me subscriptions. So the entire chat is like, he's 11, he's 11. So we're trying to figure out if he's 11, and all of a sudden the guy disappears. Like the Twitch account disappears, it's gone. And so we're trying to figure it out, and I'm like low-key freaking out. And my friends in the Discord call are like, I don't know, there's nothing you can do, because obviously, like, if this was a PayPal donation that he had just sent money to me on Twitch, I could have just sent it back, and like that would have been it. No big deal, no harm, no foul. It's done. He gets his money back, no big deal. But because he had gifted subs, there's literally no way for me to refund them. Like, there's nothing I can do. It's built into Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, and like subscriptions are managed by their payment system, I think. At least that's how mine works. So like, I don't know, there's really no way for me to refund subscriptions. So this kid had given me all these subs, there's nothing for me to do. It's not like I can go into my PayPal and hit a refund button, and the kid's nowhere to be found. He's gone. Like, he just came in, gave me 70 subs and dipped, and like typed 2 messages. And I am feeling like the worst person on earth, because I feel like I just stole like $400 from an 11-year-old. So out of nowhere, he comes back into the chat and is like, hey, here's my Instagram, I'm 28. So a very big difference in age. There's a big difference between saying you're 11 and saying you're 28. I feel a lot like better about an adult with a job giving me money than like an 11-year-old who stole money from his parents during the coronavirus. Like, that makes me feel better. So I go on my phone and I look up the Instagram, and sure enough, it's a brand new Instagram with 0 followers, 0 posts, following 0 people. It is a brand new Instagram. So immediately I'm sketched out, right? So I like tell chat something's shady, right? I don't know what's up. I don't feel like it's an 11-year-old, but I also feel like they're not 28. And the reason I don't feel like they're 11 is like the way they were typing was pretty good, and they made an Instagram account in like 2 minutes. I couldn't have done that when I was 11, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's delusional. Maybe 11-year-olds these days really know their way around like making Instagram accounts. And if I'm an idiot, then so be it. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, so this Instagram account is brand new. So I follow it and I message it and I'm like, okay, how old are you? And it says, oh, me, I'm 28. Yep, 100% 28. Like, that's how they say it. I'm not trying to make it more dramatic for the video. I think their exact terminology was, I'm 28, so no worries. Yep, promise I'm 28. So I message him back and I'm like, all right, well, can I call you? You know, can I call you to FaceTime you? I won't show you to the stream, but like, I just want to make sure that you're 28, because I'm going to feel like a jerk if you're an 11-year-old with your mom's credit card. And sure enough, the excuses start being made. It's like, oh, I have to go to my parents' house to drop something off. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. Oh, I can't call. Sorry. Oh, yep. No, yeah, this Instagram doesn't have any pictures because I made it just to message you. And I'm like, something is shady. But the entire time, like, he's typing and doing all this stuff, I'm like, he doesn't seem 11. I don't know. I feel like 11 is really, really little. I don't feel like 11-year-olds would be able to play the part and type as eloquently as he did. At least that's what I like to believe and think. Maybe I'm wrong, you know? Like, listen to these messages. I'm going to read some out word for word. So here's what he says. He said, I will call you, I will FaceTime you, but you have to do something for me. You can make a video out of this. This will be dope. We might be able to call later. If you want to call, you just have to do one thing first. Date Big Ed, the Mayo Man. So, like, he asked me to make a video out of it, which makes me think it's probably just an adult faking it. But at the same time, dude, like, he's just definitely like, something shady. I don't know what's shady, but some person came in, dropped a crap ton of money in my Twitch stream, might be 11, might be 28, I don't know, made a fake Instagram just to talk to me, so I have no idea of verifying who it is, and I feel like a jerk because I feel like I might have, like, stolen from a kid. I know, obviously, people have told me, like, it's not my fault that somebody came into my chat and did this. There's nothing I can do about it, and, like, there's no way for me to easily, like, refund it. If I could, I would, because I feel bad, but I don't know. That's what's been going on. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Like, am I the bad guy? I feel like I've done everything I can. I've tried to verify he's an adult, but if he won't FaceTime me and, like, show me that he's an adult, I feel like there's nothing I can really do about it. So, yeah, I might have made a bunch of money off an 11-year-old. That just does not make me feel too good. If you guys want to see stuff like this, for some reason the Twitch streams have been popping lately. Twitch.tv/ScrubbyOG. Follow me on Instagram @Scrubby, all that good stuff. If you really want to support the channel, check out the OG Sub Club merch as well. And yeah, if you like videos like this, I try to upload every single day, so turn on those post notifications. And if you turn them on, you might as well send a screenshot to my Instagram @Scrubby, because I give somebody a shout out every single day. Today's notification shout out goes to Connor McNaughton. Big thank you for having on notifications. I do really appreciate it. And yeah, on that note, guys, try not to get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time with another video. My Twitter is @Scrubby_69, and I'm out. Peace.
Hey, I've been thinking about you, all the things that we could do.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I know I am. And if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam at all. You will be conscripted to serve as a serf to the King of England when he inevitably takes over after the Queen croaks. And he brings back the serfdom, and he will say, come back and be a peasant in England. And you're gonna have to do it unless you press the like button, because me and the new king are gonna be tight. Real talk though, guys, it's been a long time since I've made a video. I've really been missing it. The office is all together. I've got everything set up now, so I actually can again. So videos should be back. I'm sorry they've been gone. I've really been letting down the whole squad. But today I've got a story time for you guys that took place while I was moving, because if everything went smoothly, it just wouldn't be my life, you know? Like, if everything went according to plan, that would just be way too convenient. So first things first, you know, I didn't have water and internet for a couple days, but like, it is what it is. That's not a big deal. So this story takes place like the first normal day I've been in my house. So there's this trail that's like by my new house that I hadn't been on yet. And so I grabbed my skateboard one morning at like 7 a.m. because I was up early, and I'm like, well, it's not too hot yet because it's starting to be summer in Vegas, so I'm just gonna go out on this trail and like explore it and see what's up, you know, see how far it goes, see where it goes, all that good stuff. I hadn't done any of that yet. So I hop on my skateboard and I start like skating down the street towards this trailhead, and I get on the trail, and it's like this one trail between all these houses, but there's tons of houses all over the place. Like, you know, if I run into somebody on this trail, they could be my neighbor, but they could also live in any of like the hundreds of other houses. So it's not like I'm actually gonna know anybody out here. So I'm skating, and it's pretty early in the morning, so I'm the only person for a while. And as I'm coming around the corner, I hear some people, so I slow down so that way, like, you know, I don't fly around the corner and hit anyone. And as I come around the corner, it's this guy and his girlfriend and their dog that's not on a leash. And like, you know, I'm pretty good with dogs. I have dogs, you know how it is. They're on my Instagram, which is @Scrubby, by the way. They're two cute little beagles. But I see this dog, and you know, I'm not bad with dogs. I'm usually pretty good with dogs, so I don't think anything, and I start skating. And like, the people look at me and they look away, and like, they give me a dirty look. And then like, one lady grabs the dog's like collar, right? And they're like, oh, do you have to be out this early? Which is like a really weird question to ask someone you don't know. And so I'm kind of like, oh, these people aren't very friendly, but whatever. And I'm like, sorry, you know, and they're like, whatever. And as I'm getting past the dog, it like pulls, and the girl's hand lets go. And you know that Vine where it's like, oh, he don't bite, and it's like, oh, yeah, he do, like, you know what I'm talking about? So I get bit, and I'm like, ow, that really hurt, and I just keep skating. My adrenaline's pumping, and you know, the people are mad. They're like, pull their dog back, and so I just keep going, because I'm like, look, these people aren't friendly. I'm really not trying to cause problems and have drama. I'm out. So I keep skating, and so like, I get maybe around another corner, like to the point where I can't see him anymore, and I'm like, wow, my leg really hurts, and I look, and there is blood like down my leg. I kind of got bit on like the back of the thigh, like on kind of like in the midsection of my thigh. I'm not gonna lie, if the dog was trying to eat my thigh, that would have been a really meaty section to bite. You know what I'm saying? Like, homeboy Loki might have been trying to eat me. And just to describe what this dog looked like, because I haven't yet, you know that scene in The Sandlot where like the dog is gigantic and it looks like it could eat a small child in one bite? Yeah, it was one of those dogs. And like, I'm really not afraid of dogs, you know, I'm really not, but this was a big dog. And when this thing bit me, I don't know why I expected to like not be bleeding, you know, but for whatever reason, I just thought I was gonna be cool. So I look down and I just see like blood going down the back of my thigh and like pooling in my sock. And I'm like, well, That's not good. I've been bitten by a dog before. I can't remember if I told the story on this channel or not, so I knew that I had to find out if the dog had gotten its shots, because, like, if not, then I was gonna have to go to the hospital and, like, get a rabies shot, you know, which would not have been fun with, like, COVID going on, obviously, because hospitals are just not a vibe to be in right now, I've got a feeling. Like, I don't know, I haven't been in a hospital, but I feel like during a global pandemic is just, like, not a good time to start going to the hospital, you know? It's just not. It's like the good time to start going to the gym is not January 1st. You just gotta pick a different time because everyone and their mom is doing a New Year's resolution. So, I just compared, like, going to the hospital to a New Year resolution. I guess you really don't have a choice on when you go to the hospital. Like, you don't get to pick when a dog gives you rabies or whatever. So I hope I don't have rabies. So I turn around and I start skating. I'm like, crap, I gotta find those people and find out if their dog has rabies or not, because there's no cure for it. So if I do, GG, boys. It's been nice telling stories. So I pull up on these people, right? I'm like, hey, excuse me, when your dog bit me, it broke the skin. Like, does it have its shots? And the lady looks at me, she goes, my dog didn't bite you. And I'm like, yeah, he did. She's like, no, he didn't. I pulled him away before he bit you. So I pull up my leg, which has a bite mark now in the back of my thigh leaking, but I'm like, look, he bit me. I'm not mad. I just need to know if, like, I need to go get a shot. And she looks me in the eyes and says, he didn't bite you. You did that to yourself so you could sue us. Yep. That's me. I skated around the corner and decided to make myself bleed with a fake bite mark from another dog just to come back and skate by you and pretend that your dog did it so I could sue you. That's my criminal mastermind. That's how I got this house, pretending to get bit by dogs. Like, what? So I'm like, no, your dog bit me. I'm not mad. I don't want to sue you. Does your dog have shots? And they're like, it's none of your business if my dog has shots, which, I mean, might be true if I don't know your dog, but when your dog attaches its teeth to my leg, it kind of becomes my business, lady. I'm sorry. So I'm kind of like, look, does he have its shots? And there, you know, I don't have to tell you anything. Like, you're not a cop, blah, 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 blah. And I don't understand why they're so mad. Like, your dog bit me. Why are you mad at me because your dog bit me? How is that my fault? Sorry? Sorry that my thighs are appetizing. I guess I'm just such a juicy snack that your stupid Scooby-Doo couldn't stay away. I'm sorry. It's not the dog's fault, okay? I just want to clarify, like, okay, you know what? Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. The dog bit me. The dog's kind of but, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's all the dog's fault because its owners suck, too. And so finally, after, like, arguing with them for 10 minutes, they're like, yes, our dog has shots. Is that what you wanted to hear? And now I'm like, okay, I don't believe you. You know, now you might just be telling this, and like, can I see them? And they're like, oh, fine. So they start walking to their house, and the entire time, they're talking, like, trash about me really loudly while I'm walking right next to them. They're not trying to hide it. Like, I'm literally walking with them in there. Can you believe people are so inconsiderate? Like, dude, your dog's not on a leash on a trail. I'm sorry that I skateboarded by it. Like, I really don't know how that's inconsiderate, but, you know, they're talking trash about me when we're walking. They get to the house, and the lady is like, I'm gonna go find it, and, you know, she walks in, and the husband's like, did you really have to ruin our morning by doing all this? And, you know, I'm still being nice, and at this point, I lose it, and I look at the guy, and I'm like, your dog bit me, dude. I don't know why it ruins my morning that your dog can't behave. And he's like, oh, my dog can't behave? Do you have any idea how loud your skateboard is? If your dog can't, like, not bite me when I'm skateboarding by because it's loud, then screw, like, oh, I almost said a naughty word. Oh, no, go screw yourself, all right? But, like, it's just ridiculous. I can't help that my skateboard is loud, all right? I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that wheels on pavement has a noise to it. If I could make it silent, I would. I'm not a giant fan of noises either. So thankfully, you know, his girlfriend, wife, whatever the hell, comes back out and gets this paperwork, and it says that the dog has its rabies shots or whatever. I'm like, thank you. And they're like, and like rip the paper back out of my hands and like go inside and storm off. So I go back home and I'm like cleaning, you know, my wound on the back of my thigh that's still bleeding. And I'm like, damn, this really sucks. And at the time, I like finally had just gotten internet, you know, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go record. So I go into my setup, and I'm putting this desk together, except I didn't have my desk yet. My desk hadn't shipped, so I'm putting everything on, like, a plastic folding table, right? And I'm putting it on, and I get everything put on the plastic folding table, and I recorded that Dreams 3 video, the last video that I've uploaded, and it's rendering, and after it renders and whatnot, I get up and I'm in the kitchen, like making some food, because the video had been uploaded, and I hear this noise, and I come back in, and my folding table's broken. Thankfully, like, none of my monitors broke, but the desk that I was working on broke, so, like, I had to wait for a new desk to come in to make it, so I'm sorry there's been no videos, but, you know, I got bit by a dog, so that's cool, and my neighbors, or not my neighbors, they don't live close to me, they live in, like, another development, were very rude about it, dude. I don't know what to do about the fact that your dog bit me. I'm sorry. I wish he wouldn't have to. Honestly, this Minecraft gameplay is probably really boring. I'm sorry. I just needed something to finish the video. But, yeah, on that note, guys, videos should be coming back soon. Please don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. You should check out the merch. I haven't taken down the tie-dye stuff yet just because I've been so busy with the moving and stuff, so it will be going down soon. I am gonna leave it up, I guess, just till the end of the month, because, you know, yeah, this month has not been going according to plan, but, yeah, if you want to cop that, you should. And on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. Follow me on Instagram at Scrubby, Twitter at Scrubby_69. And if you turn on notifications, send a screenshot to my Instagram, you might get a shout out. Today's notification shout out goes to RetixBurst01. Big thank you for having on notifications. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys all tomorrow with another video. Thank you so much. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, then your cat actually might get eaten. And if you like the intro song, I'll put a link down below. Go listen to it, and I'm out. Peace.
Alright, so as you guys know, I've had my fair share of encounters with Karens, but very rarely, in fact, one time, have I ever witnessed a Karen stealing money out of a kid's wallet. And that's the story time we're going to be talking about today, so without further ado, let's get into it. I'm getting quiet now, laying low when you reach some button down, making out stack the bread. Alright, so this story takes place a bit ago, back when I was a young teenager. I don't think I was able to drive yet, or at least I wasn't driving on this particular occasion, and I was at the mall with some of my friends, you know, just kind of goofing off, hanging out, and we were in the food court eating. And I remember at the time, you know, we were munching on chow mein, just goofing off, and then we decided that we were done eating and it was time to go, like, move on and explore some shops or whatever. And right across from the food court in this mall was, like, this skate shop that we would kind of go to whenever we were at the mall that had really good vibes and cool stuff in there, you know, not trying to sound too much like a surfer bro. That being said, it was just the coolest place in the mall to us. So we go over there, and when we get inside the store, we start looking around, and my friend wants to buy a new deck. So he goes to pull out his wallet, and he's like, oh crap, I have no clue where my wallet is. He realizes he forgot it. And so the only place we had been in the mall so far was the food court. Like, that's where we started. So we just go tell him to go look on the table, because obviously he had paid for his food, so, you know, he had his wallet. So he starts to go over to the table, and we look out just to see what's going on over there. And as he's running over to check his wallet, we see this lady and her, like, 5-year-old son standing there. And we cannot believe what we're seeing, because the lady is taking money out of his wallet right next to her kid, bro, fully within reach. She was giving him the tutorial on how to take money out of people's wallets. And so when we see this lady taking the money, we decide that we've got to get over there. So we rush out of the store, we start, like, backing up our friend, and obviously he gets there a little bit before us because he left earlier. And so when we pull up, all I hear is like, why are you taking my money? Like, what's wrong with you? Are you serious? Like, you're actually trying to rob me right now? What's wrong with you? And the lady is obviously just kind of caught off guard, you know? It's not like she expected the person whose wallet this was to walk up as she was taking money out of it. So she's like, no, I'm not taking money. I was putting money in the wallet, actually. No, like, I do this thing where if I see a lost wallet, I put money in it. And listen, man, obviously all of us are like, okay, yeah, sure. You're running around here filling wallets with money, you know? You're running around here being the financial tooth fairy, just giving cash to unfortunate souls who lose their wallet. Yeah, that's right, guys. Did you hear the legend? If you lose your wallet at this mall, you wake up to a beautiful extra $50. Ulysses S. Grant himself winks at you. Obviously, we knew that this lady was full of it, dude. And even then, it's pretty obvious when someone's taking something out of a wallet or putting it in, even from a distance. But just to, you know, prove his point, my friend is like, all right, then give me the wallet and let me count the cash. You know, if you really were putting money in my wallet, then when I count this, it should be more than what was in there. And so the lady hands him the wallet, right? And so he starts to go through it and starts counting. And obviously, at the time, we were broke teenagers, so it's not like there was a lot of money in the wallet, which, almost made it worse because, like, she had done all of this for a really small amount of money. And I guess he had like 8 $5 bills in his wallet, just $40, nothing too crazy. But when he's in his wallet, he pulls out 2 $5 bills. So this lady had, like, gone to the lengths of stealing $30 from this wallet that was left at the food court. She was really out here on her trying to get a savings account up, stealing $30 at a time. I'm not really sure why they were like that, but regardless, my friend is obviously pissed because he's like, where is my money? There was $40 in here, now there's only 10. I thought you said you put money in here. Keep in mind, we are kids, dude. This lady had literally gone out of her way to steal $30 from a bunch of teenagers. And even on top of it, like, we literally catch her in the act, and her first explanation is she's giving us money. Like, how dumb do you think we are? Did you think we weren't going to look in the wallet and, like, count? Do you think we weren't aware of what counting means? I'm pretty sure everybody that had spent any time watching Sesame Street would at least know how to count to, like, 5 or 6, okay? And that's really all you need to be able to do to notice there's some money missing in here. Anyways, my friend is obviously pretty pissed off at this point because he's been stolen from. I'm still kind of watching with the rest of the squad, and he's like, all right, give me my money back. Come on. Like, all right, you've been caught. Just, like, give me the money back and let's just go our separate ways. I don't want any trouble. But the mom at that point goes from, like, financial tooth fairy running around giving free money to people to a demon spawn in literally 1 second. Because once my friend's like, all right, give me my money, come on, she starts screaming, help, help, they're trying to rob me, somebody help me, I'm scared, help. And obviously at that point, we're like, crap, this does not look good, right? Because, there's just a bunch of kids standing around with some ladies screaming help. So we all back up with our hands up. We're like, whoa, nothing's going on. But my friend doesn't back up. He's like, give me my money. Now he's getting more mad because she's trying to, like, get us in trouble instead of just giving him his $30 back. And in my mind, like, all of this over $30, $300, I guess I could understand her scene a little bit more. It's still wrong to steal it, and she shouldn't have done it, but I could understand wanting to cause this big of a scene. But, like, $30 to start making people think that we're robbing you? Come on, man. So we're backing up, and these security guards come running over, which is, their job. I'm not going to be mad at them for, like, coming over and investigating, and I don't have any disrespect for security guards. But I'll be honest, for the purpose of the story, these particular security guards were power tripping, bro. They were the opposite of Paul Blart. You know how he stood for what was right, and was a nice man? These guards were power tripping. I don't even know how you get a power trip when you drive a Segway as a solid chunk of your job description. Like, you gotta have a little self-awareness. But they come over just, power tripping. They, like, push us out of the way. They're like, what seems to be the problem here? And my friend starts to talk, and, like, he's not pissed, he's not screaming, he's very calmly explaining that, like, all right, me and my friends were eating lunch here, we were at this table, we go to left, this is my wallet, I got to the store, realized I forgot my wallet, came back, as I'm coming back, I see this lady with my wallet in her hand taking cash out. So I confronted her, she said she's putting money in the wallet. I counted the money, and $30 is missing. And the security guard is kind of looking at him, nodding during all of this, and as soon as my friend is done talking, instead of, like, I don't know, saying, oh, okay, well, we'll get to the bottom of this or anything, he just goes, do you think I'm stupid? And my friend's obviously a little bit taken aback. He's like, no, not at all. I didn't say you were stupid. I'm just telling you what's happening. And he's like, you expect us to believe that this woman, this mother, would ever steal from a teenager? Do you think I'm stupid? And listen, I mean, no, I don't think you're stupid. It sounds ridiculous. Obviously, we all agree that this lady shouldn't be stealing money from people's wallets with their kid. We're not disagreeing with it being pathetic. But yeah, we're not making it up. I understand why the security guards thought it sounded made up, because it does sound ridiculous. It sounds like something that would never happen, but we really weren't lying. And so at that point, we see that they're kind of turning on my friend. So the rest of our little group is kind of like, no, he's not, lying. I swear, like, we saw it too. And they blow us off. They're like, yeah, whatever. Come on. This is a far-fetched story. You need to stop, like, trying to get this lady in trouble. And at that point, I try to say something else along the lines of, like, we're not lying. But mid-sentence, he's like, shut up, okay? I'm not asking you any more questions. And usually I got a problem keeping my mouth shut, but I knew the security guard was a little bit more in charge of the situation, so I just kind of shut up. And at that point, he asked the mom what happened. And obviously, this lady is not going to come out and be like, yeah, I was just trying to steal some money and they walked up. Like, she's not going to say that. Why would she ever do that? So she continues to stick to the story. I don't know. I was just walking past this table and all these kids ran up and started accosting me, saying that I needed to give them back their money. And honestly, I thought they were trying to rob me. And it's just like, okay, lady, we weren't trying to rob you. We didn't accost you out of nowhere. Believe it or not, me and my friends don't roll around just screaming at people for no reason. Like, it's not a fun thing to do. And we weren't even screaming, to be fair. We were just like, give him his money back. And so at that point, I'm annoyed. She's lying, right? So I tell the security guard, go check the cameras. And I point. There's a security camera like right above the table. And in my mind, I thought that was the good thing to do, right? Hey, that's why you have security cameras, so that way you can review the footage and see what really happened. That's the point of them. I guess not, dude. I guess I caught this dude on a bad day because he turns and like shoves his finger in my face and starts going on this rant about how, he's worked in mall security for 25 years and he doesn't need young people coming in here telling him how to do his job. And I wasn't even trying to be disrespectful, bro. I just thought checking the cameras was the best solution. You have two people disagreeing on what happened. If you have footage of what happened, that kind of nips this whole thing in the bud, doesn't it? After all, like, why did you even bother paying to have all these cameras installed if you're never going to check them whenever there might have been a crime? So, whatever. At that point, he's pissed off at us. He thinks we're being disrespectful and, we're causing problems for him on purpose. And we really were not. We were just trying to get his money back. And he's decided that we suck. And at that point, he thinks the mom's telling the truth about everything. And he goes to kick us out. Which, listen, if this was, if I was the guard in this situation, I think I would be skeptical, but like, just check the cameras. If they're this adamant that she really stole the money, the least you could do is review the footage. So they go to start escorting us out of the mall, and my friend's obviously freaking out because it's his money, like his money was the money that had been taken. It sucked. I didn't want to leave. I felt like it was wrong, but it wasn't my money, so like I wasn't about to freak out about it. And as we're walking out, the mom says, "Hey boys." And we turn around and she like flashes this $5 bill in her hand. And you can see that it's a decent stack of them, nothing too crazy, but like more than one. And we instantly know that's the money she took from the wallet. Those are the $5 bills. And at that point, I think my friend just kind of snapped. Like, now she's taunting him. But he doesn't attack her. Instead, he just kind of ducks the security guard's arms that are like pushing us out towards the exit, sprints and just grabs the money out of the mom's hands, rips it out of her hands. Like, I don't think she was expecting it. The money didn't rip, but he just kind of grabs it and then just starts running towards the exit on the other side of the mall as fast as he can, right? And at that point, the security guards that are escorting us out turn and just start to chase him. Because in their mind, the mom's telling the truth. We just, yelled at her out of nowhere, whatever. So to the security guards, he just robbed this lady. Like, he just took her money and took off running. Obviously, it was his money. He didn't steal anything, but the security guards are not on our side, so they take off after him. And so now it's just us and the lady and her kid, and we're stunned. She's stunned. Everybody's just kind of like standing there. And my other friend, who happened to be the guy who was driving, looks at the table we were sitting at, sees that my friend's wallet is still there. Like, he had left the wallet when he had ran and grabbed the cash. And so we're all standing there stunned for probably about 15 seconds. And once my friend sees the friend who escapes wallet, he grabs it and he starts running, not the direction he went, but the other way towards the exit. And like I said, he's the guy that was driving. My only way out of the mall at this point is with that guy, unless I want to walk home. So when he starts sprinting, I take off. The other guy we're with takes off. And now we're just sprinting through the mall. There's nobody on our tail or anything, but we're like, all right, it's probably better to not hang out and see if they have more security security. Let's just go. And so we get out into the parking lot and, we get into his car. He turns it on and we're like, do we wait for our friend? What do we do? And almost like the universe opened up at that moment as we're talking about whether or not we leave him. I'm looking and it's a pretty big mall. So, you can kind of see when people are coming around the corner into this part of the parking lot. And I look and I see our friend run around the corner and start running towards the car. And probably about 100 feet behind him, these mall cops weren't in the best shape ever. Our two mall cops still on his tail chasing him. It kind of reminded me of that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean when like Jack Sparrow's running with everybody behind him. Obviously way less intense than a whole tribe. It was just two out of shape security guards, but he's running over to the car. And, we're freaking out. We're like, oh my God, here he comes, here he comes. And so he's running and my friend backs out the car and turns. And there was me and then one guy in the back seat. And the guy in the back seat rolls down the window on the side that he's running up from. And we have the car so that way, like when he gets in, we can just go. We don't have to back out of the parking spot, like we're ready to go. And so we're watching him run up. And sure enough, he gets up to the car, dives through the window like Call of Duty Black Ops original dolphin dive, dude. Just dives into the window and just starts screaming, go, 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 go. And he just stomps on the gas and we get out of there. And probably until we got to the freeway, the only things that were said was just like, oh my God, what just happened? Like, that was insane. Didn't you guys believe that? And we finally get on the freeway and everybody calms down a bit to actually like talk about what just happened, a little bit more in detail. And so we ask our friend whose money it was who had grabbed the money. We're like, when you grabbed the money and ran, what were you thinking? He's like, I wasn't thinking. I knew she was taunting me with my money, so I just grabbed it. And we're like, dude, what do you think? Like, what was going through your mind while you were running? And he's like, when the guards were chasing me, the only thing I could keep thinking, and he looks at me and his eyes are huge. He's like, bro, his mom stole my money. His mom stole my money. I can't believe his mom stole my money. Which honestly just cracked us up because none of us could believe that this lady was just at the mall with her 5-year-old before casually deciding to like go out of her way to steal $30 from some dude's wallet. Like, what in the world, dude? That kid's gotta have some weird life lessons. I didn't realize how weird my childhood was until I started taking money out of people's wallets and they didn't want to be my friend. Anyways, he's like continues to talk. He's like, his mom stole my money. I couldn't let that happen. I had to get my money back. And we are just laughing hysterically, dude. Obviously, those mall cops really thought the situation was something it wasn't. But in our mind, we didn't do anything wrong. We just took the stolen money back from the person who stole it because we weren't going to get it back. So, yeah, all in all, pretty funny situation. I've never seen somebody dive into a car with so much energy, it really felt like I was in a spy movie making the great escape. I just still can't believe the guards kicked us out for this situation, We didn't steal anything, we didn't harass anyone, we weren't accosting anyone. If you would have checked the cameras for like 15 seconds, you probably would have been able to see what was going on, but no. Anyways, I guess the moral of the story is don't steal, or the better moral is like make sure you don't leave your wallet in the food court at the mall, I guess. Alright guys, so that was one story, but I actually had one sent in to me about like a mom stealing stuff that wasn't crazy long, so here you go, your first official bonus story time. So the person who sent this in to me was working in a grocery store, and one day while he was like mopping the floors, this manager came up to him and said he wanted him to keep an eye on this lady. And he was really confused because he takes a look and this lady is pushing a stroller, and it was kind of weird that he wanted him to keep an eye on this lady pushing the stroller. He didn't know why. And so he's pushing this broom about 50 feet behind this lady, just kind of trailing her a little bit, making sure nothing's going on. And she goes up one aisle, down the other aisle, and they get into like the alcohol aisle. And he can't believe it, but as he's watching, the lady like looks to see if anyone's around. She doesn't see him, and then she takes these huge bottles of vodka and puts them in the stroller. And the person who sent this to me literally can't believe what they're seeing. They're like, holy crap, did she really bring like a fake stroller just to get away with stealing this stuff? And yeah, apparently, unless there's a baby now smushed under a bunch of bottles of vodka, this lady brought the whole stroller setup just to get away with getting out of the store. And at that point, now that he's seen that, he goes to the manager. He's like, yeah, I saw her putting vodka bottles in the stroller. And he's like, all right, well, let's go ask her to give them back. So they go to confront her, and the manager's leading the way, and he's like, ma'am, can you please give us the merchandise in the stroller? Which is very straight up. It's a good way of being like, yeah, you're busted, just give us it back. And she goes, what? I have nothing but a baby in this stroller. Which, honestly, I'm going to give kudos for trying to go with the commitment, At this point, it's pretty obvious you're busted. If they walk up to you and say, give us the stuff in the stroller, they know there's stuff in the stroller. But, the manager is kind of like, no, ma'am, we know there's not a baby in the stroller. We have cameras. We saw what you put in there. Please give us the bottles of vodka. And at that point, the lady, this fake mom with the stroller, ponders for a second. And then she goes, well, and then flips the stroller towards the manager. And obviously, when she flips the stroller towards the manager, the bottles go flying everywhere. And if you've ever thrown a glass bottle, you know what happens when it smacks into tile or something. It shatters. So, of course, all these huge bottles just get shattered and smashed onto the ground, There's a little small tidal wave of vodka just rushing down the aisle, going everywhere. If Sausage Party was real, everything under the shelves would have been wasted from now until next Tuesday. It would have just been not a great situation. Anyways, while this tsunami's going on, there's glass everywhere. The lady, this mother of the year over here, is making the great escape. She had started sprinting down the aisle, jumped over the puddle, and tried to get to the door. But as she's going to run down the aisle, she turns around to taunt the manager and the worker, and she falls and eats crap. And by the way she falls, you can tell that it really hurt. There's probably an injury or something. And so she's just kind of sitting there, and then she gets up after a second, and she turns to yell, stay back, But when she yells, stay back, the subscriber who sent this to me is looking at her, and he sees that her mouth is bloody and her front tooth is missing, dude. So this is literally just the worst thief of all time. She came in to get some vodka. Next thing you know, she's toothless, running around after knocking her tooth out, trying to steal vodka and losing the stroller. Not only did she lose the stroller, not only did she lose the tooth, but I feel like you gotta lose your dignity a little bit after all this too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with missing a tooth. I'm not saying that. But if you tell me that you lost your front tooth because you took a fake stroller to the grocery store to steal a bunch of vodka and they caught you, so you were trying to escape and taunt them and fell, I feel like, maybe that gives me a little bit of ground to make fun of you, maybe just a tiny little small amount. Obviously, she keeps running out of the store, and once she gets out of the store, the manager's like, leave it. She doesn't have any product. There's no reason for us to go after her, so just forget it. And so the worker turns around and sees the manager standing in this middle of this giant mess, looking pretty emo. And so they're cleaning it up, and he asks his manager, he's like, I'm just curious. I didn't realize, I would have never thought that a lady with a stroller was gonna steal anything. What made you realize that she didn't have a baby in there? Which, fair question, one that I actually am a little bit curious of. And he kind of is like, well, here's the issue. I figured it was fake because she kept crashing the stroller into everything. What mom is going to push around a stroller like a demolition derby with a baby sleeping inside of it? No one's going to do that. Could you imagine there was a baby in there? He's just getting smacked into every aisle, every end piece. Gong, gong, gong. He's like, I need a helmet in here. Seriously, though, the best part of this, in my opinion, was later he was cleaning up the aisle, really sweeping it up before the store closed, and he ended up finding her tooth. That's really, really bad thief work. The bandit left a little bit more than she expected, a whole tooth behind. Moral of the story, don't steal with a fake stroller. And also, moral of the story, don't commit crime. And if you are going to commit crime, don't leave your tooth at the scene of the crime. It kind of makes solving that pretty easy. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. And, of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. If you really want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song down below, along with the link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. It's a great way to get a discount on G Fuel. Help me out at the same time. I'd very much appreciate it. And while I've got your attention, I'm going to go ahead and plug my third channel. It's called Scrubby. I'll put a link in the description, but I just kind of talk about stocks and finance stuff on there. So if that's boring to you, you don't got to go watch it. But if it does interest you, like I said, I'll put the link in the top of the description, so go check it out. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a couple different story times that have been sent in to me. About 2 weeks ago, I made that video about people's worst neighbor stories, and people have been sending them in to me. So I'm going to do a couple of the crazier ones in one video for you guys. But it should be pretty entertaining, so without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so this first one that was sent in to me is from a guy who skates in front of his house with his friends on the weekend and sometimes after school. He has a grind box and a rail, so every now and then they'll set it up out there and skate for a few hours. And they've never had any issue with any of the neighbors before, just because they were pretty nice. They would stop if cars were coming. They weren't screaming at every other kid outside. It wasn't like they were getting in anyone's way. They were just skating. Well, the house across the street from them goes up for sale, and a new guy moves in, and he's just an older gentleman, and I don't mean this to disparage him at all, but he's just not in the greatest shape. He's old. It's hard to stay in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shape if you're 84. He wasn't actually 84. He was that weird in-between stage where they're old, but they're not old yet, late 50s, early 60s, where you're kinda. And this guy was one of those people that apparently subscribed to the school of thought that skateboarding was just the worst thing to ever exist. If there was a movie made about it, bro, Footloose, where they try to ban dancing, this guy's town would ban skateboarding. Every time they would go out there and try to skate, he would come out and just yell at them that they were being too loud, which I love. For some reason, I feel like bad neighbors always do that. They say you're being too loud, so their way to solve it is to just be really, really loud. You know what makes this more loud? You screaming at them. That definitely adds to the volume. And it got to the point where he got a bullhorn, and whenever they would try to skate, he would just be like, "Get out of here, get out of here," way louder than the skateboarding would be. And a bunch of the other neighbors started being mad at him, and he would be like, "Well, I wouldn't have to do it if it wasn't for the skaters, da-da-da-da-da." And the other neighbors told the kids that the next time he does it, just keep skating. It doesn't matter how loud he gets. We don't care. Just, put him in his place. So they had the blessing of the rest of the neighborhood, because this grumpy old man was just pissing on everyone's toes. And so they next time they go skating, they head out there, they set up the rail, they set up the box, and they start skating. And within probably 15, 20 minutes, old man McGeezak has made his way outside to his lawn chair with his bullhorn and just starts yelling at them. And they're just ignoring it. They're acting like they can't hear it. They just keep skating. Nah, bro, I don't care that you're yelling as loud as humanly possible. It does not matter to me. I'm just going to keep on trucking. And he starts to get annoyed that they're not reacting to him or responding or even looking at him or leaving. So he just starts turning it up, and he maxes it out, and they're still not listening or paying attention. So he just starts getting more and more angry with what he's saying. And he was always mad, but he's starting to be spit flying out of his mouth into the bullhorn, probably going to cause an electric shock moment here in a bit. And they just are ignoring him. And finally, he gets up and he starts walking over to them. And they're like, okay, we can't ignore him anymore because he's coming over. And as he's walking over, he's screaming that he's gonna fight them. And he's tired of only using his words. They're gonna speak with their fists like real men. And listen, I don't think fighting is ever the answer to a problem like this. There's just no reason to fight the person that lives across the street from you. It's just not a good idea. Unless you absolutely have to. If an old man is about to attack you, what are you gonna do? You just kind of gotta defend yourself. But he's walking over saying that, oh, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna use my fists, not just my words, like real men. And the group is like, dude, we don't want to fight you. Stop, man. And the guy is kind of not in good shape to the point that by the time he even gets across the road to them, he's starting to be out of breath. And he's like, "I'm gonna beat you up, man. And then when I'm done with beating him up, I'm gonna pick up his skateboard and I'm gonna fight you two next." And maybe in his head, he's got this really intimidating, whoa, this old man is some secret CIA agent thing going on. But in reality, it's just this out of shape old dude who still thinks he's 21 trying to fight all these kids. And so they're like, "Bro, stop." But he keeps coming at them and he won't stop being like, "I'm going to do something about this situation." And so the person who sent this in to me says, "Look, we're going to go inside, but even if you wanted to fight us, that wouldn't end bad for you, bro. Or that wouldn't end good for you, bro. You know what I'm saying. It's just, listen, you're not in any condition to fight us. We're gonna leave because we don't want to fight you, but you're lucky that we are not gonna fight you," type of vibe. Which I don't know if I 1000% agree with, but at the same time, some dude's just screaming that he's gonna beat you up, and it's very obvious that he would not be able to beat you up. It'd be hard not to say something. And so they start backing up to go into their house, and he keeps chasing them. And now he speeds up, and they turn around, and he has like his fist balled, and he tries to hit them. And, you know, he's once again very slow, so the punch doesn't really do anything. It just kind of like goes a foot away from them because they just took another step back. And he starts screaming that, like, they need to stop running away from him and they need to settle this now. And they're like, man, we're not gonna fight you. This is not going to end well. Stop. Like, if you keep coming at me, bro, we're gonna have to do something. We're trying to go in the house. Stop. And he just keeps walking at them, swinging at them. But it's like those swings where it's just somebody that clearly got their idea of fighting from, like, action movies. Just throwing haymakers, dude. He could basically start a tornado with how just out there and wide his punches are going. And as he's doing it, he's so mad at them that spit's flying out of his mouth, and he's like, stop running. And they're not running, they're just backing up, and they keep being like, dude, stop. And they're getting close to their garage door, so they're running out of room to back up. And when they get to the garage door, they all kind of get into the stance of like, okay, man, you've literally backed us against the wall, and it becomes obvious that they might actually have to fight back now. And all of a sudden, the guy, who's very out of breath, like still, stops in his tracks. Oh, before this, I'm gonna beat you guys up throwing punches. But once he sees that, like, they're turning around and getting ready to have to defend themselves, he stops. And he's like, you guys should have fought me like men. I don't know why you don't want to fight me. And they are just telling him that they don't want to fight an old man. And he's like, I'm not old. I'm only your dad's age. And the subscriber snapped back at him and said he was probably so old he sat behind Julius Caesar in the 3rd grade, which is a solid one, bro. I mean, you definitely were a little bit older than these kids' dad. He wasn't insanely old. Like, this isn't some 95-year-old man with his oxygen tank running up on them like, I'm gonna beat you up. No, this is like a 58-year-old man just trying to fight this group of kids and then being like, I'm not old. So they're saying just whatever, man, whatever, man. And at that point, a bunch of the other neighbors start coming out and being like, what's going on? And the old man tries to be like, nothing's going on. But the kids start saying that he's trying to fight them and he's attacking them, and all the neighbors start yelling at him to leave them alone. And now that he realizes he either has to fight them or, you know, leave, and the neighbors are now yelling at him, I think the embarrassment finally hits and he just kind of realizes it'd be best to go back to his house. Because he's like, I don't have time for this, and walks back across the street. And so they go inside to his house and they're telling his mom, and his mom's pissed, but she just says, just ignore him. I've tried to talk to him. He's unreasonable, you know, but if it happens again, you didn't do anything wrong. And I think the embarrassment of all the neighbors coming outside and seeing him trying to fight these kids after he had backed them into the corner actually made him realize that he should stop. Because he was just almost afraid of seeing them outside. Not in like a oh, I'm afraid they're going to beat me up way. But like if they came outside and he was getting his mail, he would just put his head down and just not look at them, get the mail, and go inside. Like almost a bit of, oh yeah, I definitely overreacted and it's really hard to look someone in the face after you've done something that stupid. The rest of the neighborhood was grateful though that his bullhorning finally stopped. He kind of left them alone. And they still skate sometimes. They don't do it as much at his house just because his friends were like, yeah, I'm not trying to get attacked by an angry guy again, which I get. But I thought that was a crazy story. Hope you guys did too. If you liked that one, press the like button, but we got more in the video, so don't leave. All right, so this next person who sent this into me said that like there was this lady who had lived on their street for a couple years. She had moved in when another family had moved out, and she was known for being a super sweet lady. Like if you saw her going to the mailbox, she would say hi and talk to you. She remembered things about people, and she was basically the grandma of the neighborhood. Like on the 4th of July, she would make cookies and give them out to the neighborhood and whatnot, and everybody thought she was just the sweetest lady ever. And she was a very, very sweet lady, for sure. I'm not saying she wasn't nice, but one day she starts telling everyone in the neighborhood that she's going to be moving to Florida. No one really questions it because she said that's where her children lived, and she was like around retirement aged. So if you retire, moving to Florida is one of the most stereotypical old person things you can really do. So it's not really causing alarm bells for anybody. And 2 days later, she had moved out. Like it was quick. She said, I'm moving to Florida, and then was gone. 48-hour window. And people thought it was weird that she had moved out really quickly, but things start to get weirder when one day the kids are playing outside and they realize that she had left all of her cats in the backyard. And they were mostly like outdoor cats anyways, so they were okay, but the neighborhood kind of each like took one in and gave it a water bowl and whatnot because she had just left. And you're a really crappy person if you do that to your pet. Thank goodness they were okay, but you just move to a different state and leave your cats? That's nuts. And so everybody started being like, wow, maybe she wasn't that nice, da-da-da-da-da, like, thanks for the cookies, but you just left your cats when you moved? That's bizarre. And then the situation gets even weirder. A truck pulls up to the house one day, and they see, like, this company going in and whatnot, and they come back out, and they start knocking on doors, asking what happened to that house. And they're really confused about it, and they explain that, like, for the past 2 years, that house has been a part of a trust or something, and, like, the guy who owns it through the trust wants to do something or other with it, and they knew it had been sitting for 2 years, so they were just coming to see what the situation was. But when they had gone in, it had been obvious someone was living there. And the neighborhood's confused because they're like, yeah, an old lady lived there, but she owned the house. A family moved out and she moved in. And they're like, wait, hold on. You're telling me someone's been living there for 2 years? They confirm it, and they explain that, yeah, it was like some dude's trust had bought this house as an investment or something, and no one was supposed to have been living in there because he was trying to decide whether or not, like, he wanted to use it for a rental or a Airbnb. 2 years is a long time to be deciding that, but still, like, I don't know. I don't have a bunch of houses in a trust, so whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it was not supposed to be lived in. And they're telling them that, no, the lady's been living there for years. And they say, it was just one lady? And they're like, yeah, why? And they say the house is destroyed. And obviously a couple people get curious. So like the neighborhood dads get together and they go over to look. And a couple of them come running out. And the old lady who had been super sweet, friendly to everyone, baking cookies. You've already found out she's essentially a squatter. Well, she was also a hoarder too. And I know that like that's a condition people need psychiatric help for. But imagine finding out that the person whose cookies you have been eating had like a kitchen full of cat poop, bro. This house was next level TLC hoarding, like to the point where you couldn't even see the walls when you walked in. It was just bags of trash all the way up to the ceiling. And listen, you know what? It's not good for you. It's not healthy. If you are a hoarder, you should probably get help. But at the end of the day, we do live in America. If you want to fill your house with trash, until it starts to be a health hazard for other people, I don't know if there's a legal thing they can do. But what's nuts is she was just doing this in a house she didn't even own. She just pulled up to this house and said, this will make a great home, and started hoarding immediately. Like, okay, letting a house sit empty for 2 years is stupid. I'm not saying that guy was a genius. But imagine finding out that a house you bought, someone had been living in for 2 years. You're already pissed. Wait, what? Someone's been living in my house for 2 years? And then you go to it and there's just like cat poop in the kitchen, bags of garbage everywhere. Anyways, the entire neighborhood is shocked though, because this lady was just like basically grandma of the neighborhood. Turns out she was hoarding, feeding them her disgusting cookies baked on a whole layer of cat poop. And she wasn't even supposed to be there, dude. I guess never judge a book by its cover or something, you know. The cover is grandma of the neighborhood behind the scenes squatting. It was very Florida woman of her, though. Like, if you think about it, the fact that she said she's going to move to Florida because that's where her family is, she's going to fit right in. Yeah, my last house I wasn't supposed to live in, so I trashed it, and now I fled the state. And they're like, no way. Me too. I know most people from Florida are normal. I just feel like if you are crazy, you go there. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. Las Vegas kind of has that too. A lot of crazy people here. It's nothing personal. I'm just saying she is a Florida woman. It makes sense she would go there. Alright, this next one was really funny. So the person who sent this into me, they have a bunch of fruit trees in their backyard, and it just so happens that they have like 2 apple trees that produce a substantial amount of apples. That's pretty sweet. You can get some fresh apple juice, take it to your teacher, whatever you want to do with it. Your apple, your choice. But obviously, if the apple is in your backyard, then it's your apple, and it would be really weird if anyone was just like in your backyard taking things off your tree. That's really weird. But one day, right when the apples started coming in, the subscriber who sent this in to me looks in the backyard and he sees the neighbor who lived like 3 houses down in the backyard just casually with like a canvas tote bag picking apples off the tree and putting them in the bag. And he had never talked to him before, so he didn't want to go out there and confront him, and he also didn't want to confront him because the dude's crazy enough to just walk into somebody's backyard and start taking their stuff. It doesn't seem like the type of situation you would really love to go yell at them for. Alone, you know, obviously get out of my backyard, but like he goes to get his dad, sorry, I'm trying to talk here. So he goes and gets his dad and he's like, the neighbor is in the backyard right now stealing our apples. And the dad looks out into the backyard and sure enough, the guy is leisurely just taking his time. He was looking at them, and if he didn't like them, like he's not taking them. It's not even like he just came over and said, look, I'm going to pick the ones that fell onto the floor. No, he's just trying to take the best apples. So the dad opens the window where they're looking out of and says, hey, you can't take those. Get out of here. And I don't know if the guy has headphones in or what, but he's like either pretending not to hear them, which is probably what's going on, or he can't hear them. So the dad yells louder like, hey, stop it. And this time the guy turns around and looks at them and then just turns back around and goes right back to it. And so now the dad's starting to get pissed. And so he's like, I'm going to count to 10. And if you're not leaving my backyard, I'm coming out there. And he starts counting down, which is such a dad thing to do. Like, okay, Mr. Man, I'm going to count to 10. And the guy's just still out there leisurely taking the apples. And so the dad gets to 10 and he goes into the backyard and he picks up the hose that they have. And it just so happens to have like one of those nozzles on it. Not a pressure washer nozzle, but one where like the water definitely doesn't feel good full blast. And he cranks the hose and he just starts spraying the dude that's stealing the apples off of his tree. Because that's what you do if someone's trying to steal your apples and you've told them to leave. And they're like, no, get out of my backyard. And the guy turns around and starts freaking out and is like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Why would you do that? And he's like, why are you in my backyard taking my fruit? And he's like, dude, you can't own fruit trees. That's illegal. If you own a fruit tree, then it's community property. And the guy looks at him and is like, are you an idiot? What? And he says, yeah, you know, Mother Nature is everyone's, so I'm allowed to come into your backyard and take fruit from this tree. It's wrong for you to say that it's yours. And he's like, all right, I don't know what argument you're trying to make or what you're talking about, but that's not how it works. It's just my tree. Even if you are a whole like, oh, dude, if the tree bears fruit, it's everyone's, you're still trespassing on private property. He could get you for that, even if the cops agreed. No, man, nature's everyone's. Well, still, I want him trespassed then. Like, get him out of my yard. And what's really funny is the subscriber even says, like, when they sent it in, that the dad probably would have let him take some apples. It's not like they ever ate all of them. They would give a lot away to their neighbors and stuff, but now he wasn't getting any. Like, they had given apples away before, but if someone just goes into your backyard and starts taking stuff, your kindness is probably on 0%. But the guy's still trying to argue that, like, you can't own a fruit tree. And the dad, after spraying him with the hose, says, well, then we can call the cops and find out what they think about that. And as soon as he says that, the guy's like, no, dude, there's no reason to get the police involved. I'll leave. But you really suck for trying to think that you own nature. And starts going off about something about the Lorax. And I don't know if that dude read the same book or saw the same movie that I did, but the Lorax is about not chopping down all trees and exploiting nature to the point of destruction. I don't think there was any point in the Lorax where he was like, remember kids, if you break and enter to steal fruit, it's okay. Maybe I missed that part, but I don't think Dr. Seuss's point in the Lorax was like, okay, you should just go to orchards and steal all the fruit. I don't know, man. Like, call me crazy. Someone out there is right now typing a comment about how that guy was right. Nature is everyone's. Yeah, but my house isn't yours and neither is my backyard, so get out. I just could never imagine having the cojones to do that, dude. Just walk into someone's backyard and start taking things. Imagine if it wasn't fruit. Like, imagine you just walked into somebody's backyard, you start picking up pieces of their lawn furniture and just carrying it back to your house. What is nice, though, is after that, the dad installed a padlock on the gate, so he doesn't know if he ever tried to steal any more apples, but they never saw him in the backyard stealing them. Maybe he went to the gate and was like, dang it, nature is everyone's, but this gate and its lock is belonging to that man. Either way, don't go into people's backyard and just start taking things. I especially love the irony where they're like, yeah, we would have just let him take some apples, but after you break in and start trying to take apples, it's a completely different story. You could have just knocked on the door. Excuse me, sir. I'm a great fan of some Granny Smith apples. May I have some, please? yeah, sure, go for it. Instead, you just went for the approach of taking it off the tree. And I don't understand why he ignored him for so long either. Like, okay, yeah, dude, he kind of had to spray you with the hose because you're just not listening. He didn't have to spray him with the hose. Don't get it twisted. That being said, if someone's in your backyard stealing your stuff, spraying them with the hose is the nice thing to do. Like, at that point, he would have been justified to go, like, push the guy out of his yard, I feel. So if all he did was just psh for a second, then, like, that's not that bad. It's like training a cat, you know, the little squirt bottle. Squirt, squirt. All right, this last one was, like, really nuts to me. So this guy and his family had been driving the same car for a very long time, like probably 15, 16 years, and the dad had gotten a new job, so they decided to get a new car. And the deal was his mom had a car too, so his dad was getting another car, so they were going to have 3 cars now, was that he was going to buy it back from his parents. They worked out a deal where he was working a job and he had a payment plan, and he was very grateful to his parents for the situation. Like, he obviously realized that he was lucky. So the car sat in the driveway, and until he could afford it and register it and all that stuff, it was just going to sit, which was probably going to take him about a month to get all that done. So it's sitting there for a month, and over that course of time, a few of the neighbors had been like, oh, is that for sale? And his parents had explained no, the situation. But there was one family, like 6, 7 houses down, that was always known for being a little bit entitled. Like, they were all just kind of cringe. And they had a son who was about the same age as this guy. And for whatever reason, he decided that he deserved the car. So he comes over one day and knocks on the door and is like, hey, is that car available? And the dad starts explaining that no, it's not really available. Like, he's going to give it to his son, but thank you for the interest, da-da-da-da-da. And he goes, well, how much for it? And now the dad is listening, not because his son doesn't deserve the car, but if this guy's going to be insanely entitled and spoiled and be dumb and offer like $10,000 more than the car is worth, then you sell it and everyone wins. So he's like, well, what do you mean? Well, how much is it worth? So he tells him it's probably worth about da-da-da-da-da. And the guy goes, oh, okay, so is that why you're not going to sell it? And he goes, well, my son's going to buy it from me. And he's like, well, why are you going to give it to your son? And he's kind of confused by that question. Like, what do you mean? Why would the dad give his son first dibs on buying the car? Because it's his son? And he's like explaining that to the spoiled kid. And the spoiled kid goes, well, listen, I don't think he really deserves it as much as I do. I think you should give it to me. And the dad's like, you mean sell it to you? And he goes, no, I think that I deserve the car. I've been working really hard in school this year, and I just feel like I should get the car, not your son. And the dad is taken aback, and he goes, I'm not giving the son my car, he's buying it. And he goes, yeah, you should give it to me. And he's saying this with all seriousness in his voice. Like, he's not messing around. He's not pulling his leg or anything. He is saying that instead of selling it to his son and, like, making money on the car or whatever, breaking even, whatever it may be, he should give it to a kid he doesn't know from like 7 houses down. And obviously the dad's not going for that. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And you would think maybe it was just a desperate Hail Mary attempt for a car and he would go, okay, and walk away. But he starts arguing with this guy's dad, being like, well, why do you think I don't deserve the car? And the dad doesn't really know this dude. It's not like they had ever had conversations or anything. So he looks at him and is like, I don't know that you don't deserve the car. I wouldn't give a car to anyone, but I don't know you. Like, I don't know you. How do you deserve the car? And he starts to answer the question. And it was obviously asked in a way where, like, it was supposed to be a rhetorical question. Don't actually answer. Well, like I said, I've been working very hard in school this year, blah, 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 blah. My parents just got a promotion. And his dad's like, well, if your parents just got a promotion, then why do you need my car for free? Why can't they get you a car? And he scoffs at this and is like, well, then they couldn't spend money on stuff that they like. Yeah, man, that's kind of how it works. So you just expect this dude to give you a car so that way your parents can spend money on stuff that they like instead of getting you a car. That seems like your problem. And even then, your parents aren't obligated to get you a car. Like, saying that an adult in the neighborhood has to give you anything for free is really weird. No, you don't understand. I've worked very hard in school. Well, I'm not your dad. dad, man. Like, what do you want him to do about it? And the dad at this point is getting frustrated and tells him to get off his lawn. He's like, get out of here. You're not getting the car and you need to leave. And the spoiled kid starts threatening to call the cops. He's like, well, I bet if we call the cops, they would see my side of things. And the dad starts laughing at that point because he can't believe that that's the threat he came up with. I'm going to call the cops and tell them that you won't give me your car for free and they're going to be pissed. Yeah, man, they're probably going to pull up, slap him in cuffs. Oh, my goodness. Can you believe that this guy doesn't want to give a car away to a rude stranger? And so he's laughing and the spoiled kid's like, I'll actually do it. And so the dad tells him to knock himself out and closes the door. And everyone had been sitting in the living room kind of listening to the conversation, so they're all laughing. But then they hear some like noises from outside. And so they go and look out the window and the spoiled kid hadn't called the cops, but he's over by the car just kicking the crap out of the tires. Which, listen, I don't know if he was like, I'm not going to cause damage to it, I'm just mad or what, but that's the weirdest place to kick a car. Like, you're just going to kick the tire, okay, your foot's just going to bounce and it's going to do absolutely nothing. But the dad's pissed off and opens the door and is like, hey, stop kicking the car, get out of here. And the spoiled kid just looks at him and says, I'm not going to get out of here until you tell me that this car is mine. And the dad says, well, then I guess we're going to stand here all day because I'm not giving you the car. And he says he's going to keep kicking it then. And so he keeps kicking the tire. And now the dad starts walking to the end of the driveway to like get the kid out of the driveway, which is their property. And the kid is like, no, I'm not going anywhere. Mom, mom. He's just screaming mom. And his mom is like several houses down. There's no way she's going to hear it. So finally, after he realizes he's going to have to leave, he leaves. And they think that's the end of it. They go back inside, sit on the couch, doing their thing. And probably about 5 minutes later, the doorbell rings and the dad goes and just expecting it to be that kid again, opens the door with a little bit of anger, you know, which probably not the best idea. You never know who's knocking on the door. But when he opens it up, he gives it a little bit of a what? Because he just doesn't want to deal with this. And he's there with his mom and he says, oh, I'm sorry. And he thinks that they're here to apologize. He probably went, told his mom. His mom said, you did what? You went and demanded someone gave you a free car. You're an idiot. Why would you do that? That made me look really bad. But no, apparently his mom had heard about this entire situation and thought, my poor baby has been so dramatically wronged in life. No wonder the kid was acting like this, bro, because his mom was on his side as if her son just deserved a free car. But she starts going off on the dad saying how dare he not hear out his son's reasoning as to why he deserved the car. And the dad cuts her off and says, I don't care about your reasoning. I'm not giving him a car. It doesn't matter what his reasoning is. And she's like, as a human, you have to hear him out. And he's just arguing with her saying, I don't have to hear her out or hear him out. Sorry. He doesn't have to hear either of you out, really. But she starts to say that he had just been working so hard at school. And I don't know why both of them are harping on that point so hard, as if that just magically makes this all understandable. Little Timmy made the AB honor roll. You're right. I have to get out of my car and hand over the keys. He just owns everything now. Like what? Under that logic, can you use that to steal a house as well? Listen, I know this is your mansion. You paid the millions for it. However, I got really, really good grades. It's like Nathan for you. I graduated business school with really good grades. So you just have to give me your billion-dollar company. That's not how it works. And the dad literally tells her that nobody cares what grades he got. It doesn't matter. And she gets all mad at him and is like, I care what grades he got. And he just reminds her that that's because she's his mom and she's obligated to care. And she's like, everyone should care about everyone. And so he asks her this question. And you would think after you say something like everyone would care about everyone, you might be smart enough to think about like, okay, if he asks me something that would make me look like an idiot, be careful. And so he asks her, he says, all right, well, would you care if my son got good grades? And she was like, no, why would I care about what your kid got in school? And he's like, exactly. That's why I'm not going to give your kid a free car. Congratulations on getting on the honor roll. That's all you're going to get out of me. And she's like stomping her feet all mad and says something along the lines of how they weren't being very good neighbors in this moment and they could use this as a teaching experience for their kids. And the dad, thinking quick on his feet, goes, you're right, we will turn it into a thinking experience for our kids, a learning experience. I can live with being a bad neighbor if my neighbor is an idiot, and just close the door, which is an absolute just like Fortnite take the L dance, man. Oh yeah, this is a teaching moment. Teach your kid to suck less. Doors slam. Just like, oh, bro, that had to have been brutal. After that, they didn't really bug them too much about the car. I think they got the hint that if they did, it would just end up in a very similar situation. People don't take too kindly to people demanding things for free too often. I don't know why people just think that, like, all right, you can steal fruit, you can steal a car if the person lives near you. If anything, you think that would be, like, even more of a reason not to do this type of stuff, is because you're going to have to see and deal with them pretty consistently. You live close together. Thankfully, in this situation, they lived far enough away where they could just avoid each other, and it really worked out for the most part. But dang, dude, moral of the story, don't think you deserve a car for free from someone that's not your family because you got good grades, because they don't care. Anyways, guys, those were some really good stories. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you enjoyed the video, it's a little bit of a longer one. I would appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below, or subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. I post videos like this every day, so if you like it, definitely subscribe and turn on those noties. It would be sick. And beyond that, if you like these story times but want to listen offline or without gameplay, whatever floats your boat, I do post them on Spotify. A link to that can be found down below, along with a link to a playlist I made here on YouTube that has my favorite story times from the year so far. So if you need something to listen to while you're playing video games, hanging out, doing chores, whatever, please use that as well. But yeah, on that note, guys, that'll do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here. Today I've got a story time for y'all I think you're gonna really enjoy, about this dude who managed to get rich in homeroom and then freak out in a way that, you know, ended up being worth making into a story time. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it, and, yeah, let's go.
I'm getting quiet now. Laying low when you reach zone, wiping down, making out, stack the
Alright, so like I said, this is a subscriber story that was sent in to me, and I want to open it off by saying I would not recommend doing any of this, alright? I would call all of this a very bad idea. That being said, anytime someone freaks out because of their bad idea, it can be a little bit entertaining, especially when it's something that ends up reversing a ginormous W right after it occurs, alright? So, yeah, the person who sent this in to me still has homeroom. I actually didn't have it, but basically from what they explained, it's like this hour at the start of the school day where you can kind of work on homework projects, like an hour to just work on stuff. That's the best way I can say it from what you explained. So obviously it tends to be that it's the class that people goof off in the most, you know, because there really isn't assignments to do. It's just whatever you feel like doing, and if you're in a class with anyone that you're friends with, usually what you feel like doing is just not paying attention and goofing off. And for whatever reason, the person who sent this into me sits next to was someone that was always trying some weird way to get rich, get the bag very quickly. And, you know, very often these get-rich-quick schemes didn't work because they were always centered around him being insanely lucky, not about him, like, starting a business or hard work. You know, it was always just kind of hoping for an absolute miracle to turn, like, $2 into $1 million. He was aiming way more for luck over effort, but regardless, the person who sent this to me was entertained by, like, the weird get-rich-quick schemes they would hear. Regardless, you know, one day the subscriber came into homeroom and sat down, and immediately this dude obsessed with getting the bag starts throwing this speech at him about how he came up with an idea to grow his money really fast, and how, you know, he had just cracked the code for being able to turn small amounts of money into large amounts of money, which, listen, if you've cracked the code for it, good for you. You're gonna have yourself a very fun existence. Chances are you're gonna be sipping on caviar quite often. I don't even know if you sip on it, but regardless, if you really figured out a way to, like, make a bunch of money, good for you. He said he had found this online gaming place where you could take money and bet money on a game, and then if the, like, money that you put down on the game was right, it paid you more money. And he's explaining this like there's not a name for this, right? And the person who sent this to me is listening to it, and they're like, wait, so basically you're betting money on what happens? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, so it's a casino? And, you know, he has a laptop in front of him, and he's like, I don't know, take a look. A lot of kids in the school had laptops on them to, like, keep track of assignments and work on stuff because they're in hybrid school. So when they're working at home, they need their laptop, and obviously if you're, like, halfway done with the project on your laptop, you're just gonna bring it to school. But sure enough, he flips around his laptop, and he's literally showing an online casino to the person who sent this to me. And listen, that's not a way to get rich, dude. I'm not gonna say I hate gambling, because to each their own. I personally think it's dumb. I don't really like to gamble. Obviously, I've just been around it a lot. I'm from Las Vegas. If you want to gamble, that's
That's on you. If you feel like it, hey, I'm not gonna tell you anything. You guys can make your own choices. All I'm gonna say about it is, like I said, I live in Las Vegas. If gambling was good for customers and a great way to make money, I don't know why all these companies keep building billion-dollar buildings and having record profits. You think they'd start losing money at some point. Plus, not to mention, I'm really sure that it's illegal to gamble if you're not an adult. Like, even if you're 18, you're still not allowed to gamble. You gotta be 21. So I don't know how this dude has, managed to find some sketchy online casino to sign up for, but I can certainly tell you that gambling is not the magic way to quadruple your money. I mean, sure, if you own a casino, maybe it's a magic way to quadruple your money, but I don't think gambling is a consistent way to make money. I think it's literally called gambling for a reason. Anyways, the person who sent this to me has a question about, hey man, I'm not really sure that this is legal. He kind of says that off rip, and the kid turns red, and he's like, well, I signed up with my dad's name and then told him I needed a picture of his ID for school and sent it in, which is a horrible idea because now, not only are you gambling, which is a bad idea, but you made an account with your parents' name that they don't know about. That's a very horrible idea. You should never do that. It doesn't make it magically okay now that you just fraudulently made an account with your dad's name, But he goes on about how he has this plan to get rich and he's gonna do it through this casino. And the person who sent this to me starts trying to tell him that okay, this is probably a really bad idea. You do realize that with gambling you can lose all your money, you're not taking out debt to gamble or anything, right? And he's like, no. And he's like, all right, well, what are you gonna do if you lose the money? And he's like, I haven't thought about that because I don't plan on losing the money, which to me is a very stupid thing if you're gonna be gambling at all, right? I don't think anyone goes into the casino planning on losing their money. Everybody goes in planning on winning. It'd be really weird if people flew into Las Vegas hey, I'm gonna blow my mortgage this weekend. I don't think anyone does that. Everyone thinks they're gonna win, but regardless, you gotta think about what would happen if you did lose because it's gambling and there's a pretty good chance that you're gonna lose. But his response to that is well, I think I'm gonna win, so I'm not gonna think about losing, as if that just magically makes the risk of losing disappear. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you can't lose anymore. True. Anyways, he tries to warn him, and he's just not listening to it, and he shows that he had taken this $500 that he had saved between birthday and Christmas and had put it all into this online casino and he was going to get rich with it. And so he tries one more time just to be hey, this is a really bad idea. You shouldn't do this. Trust me, you're going to regret it. Your money's going to disappear. And everything he's saying is just not computing, It was he had tuned his ears to just not listening to any good advice mode. He literally cuts him off during his advice and says, listen, bro, do you want to watch me gamble or do you want to be my mom? Just shut up, all right? Nobody cares. I'm going to do it. And at that point, he's like, all right, well, I tried to warn you. This is a horrible idea. I guess I'll watch because, it is definitely going to be entertaining. I don't know if it's going to be for the reasons that you want it to be, but it definitely will be entertaining. That's for sure. So, all right, go for it. And I feel at this point, it's not really on him. If he's literally tried to warn him multiple times, you tell him to shut up. Okay, all right. Anyways, the kid starts to look through all these different online games. There was a couple ones in the casino, and he decides that, roulette is just the way that he's going to get insanely rich. Listen, I'm not a gambling expert. All gambling is luck-based. That's why it's called gambling. But roulette is the extra luck mode, It's just probably one of the worst ways to get a chance at growing your money that's not just insanely based on luck. But regardless, this guy being just not a gambling expert like any of us, none of us are, decided that he was just going to go to roulette and bet all $500 on green, which, in theory, if it lands on green, would make a lot of money. It's 32 times the amount. So he would get what? If he bet $500 on green, if it lands on green, $16,000. Obviously, that's not a shabby chunk of change, pretty good payout. But he just decides to risk it all on that. If it doesn't land on green, he loses all of his money. So whatever, he goes all in, places $500 on green, and everyone around him is like, why did you go all in? Why did you go on green? That's a horrible idea. And he starts to tell everybody to shut up. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. You guys are all gonna look stupid in a second, just being super confident about the fact that you guys are dumb and I'm gonna just look like a genius. Give it a second. So sure enough, it starts to spin and it lands on green, right? He literally stands up screaming, and I'm not gonna lie, I probably would too. He had just turned $500 into 16 grand, said he had a plan, knew it was gonna happen. He just felt like an absolute G. And obviously everyone around him is flabbergasted because that's insanely unlikely. Do not gamble gamble, once again, I don't recommend this. That being said, the odds of that happening are what, like 1 in 35, 1 in 32, something like that. Very low odds that that is going to happen, and anytime it does happen, it's a big deal. And obviously at that point, if you just turn $500 into $16,000, you should just walk away. Just walk away. Take the money and leave. You're already insanely lucky that it landed on green when you bet it there. That's like lottery level luck. But the teacher kind of goes back and forth with him for a bit because he had been really loud, and he sits back down, and they can tell that he's thinking, and they're like, dude, no, come on, don't keep gambling, like, just take the money, right? Just take the money. Everyone is saying, don't do it, take the money. And so when he sits down from the teacher yelling at him and everyone starts to give him advice, he's like, shh, everyone be quiet, I'm gonna do it again. And literally everyone, even the people that don't know how to gamble very well, are just like, what are you talking about, bro? That's a horrible idea. You definitely shouldn't gamble again. You just turned $500 into 16 grand. You shouldn't gamble anymore. Just take it. What are you doing? Obviously, when you're up big at the casino, the key is to walk away. And this is how they get you, right? The house always wins is a saying for a reason, but he says he's going to do it. He opens his calculator app on the laptop and he's like, well, if $500 turned into 16,000, then if I bet 16,000, it would turn into 512,000, which sure, I mean, theoretically is correct. That is the math that if it happened, but you're talking about back-to-back green in roulette. It's rare enough to happen once. It's rare enough for the same number to be hit at all, period. So like twice in a row, that's just not gonna happen. The odds of any number hitting twice in a row, green or not, is like 1 in 1,369. 1 out of 35 is luck already. You just 32 extra money, that's huge. But obviously it's a horrible idea to just make the exact same gamble again, because the odds of something very rare happening twice in a row is even more rare. It doesn't take an expert to realize that that's probably a good way to lose all $16,000, especially when you're up big. There's just no reason to double down. I feel like anyone that's ever made money from gambling always says that the key is to walk away when you're up, Once again, I'm not an expert, but like I feel like it's always a saying, if you're up huge, you should leave because it's gambling, and if you don't, you're gonna just slowly lose money. If you just keep playing and playing and playing games that require luck after you got lucky, you're probably not going to be as lucky as you just were. And literally everyone is lecturing him, telling him, please don't do that. That's a horrible idea. Like, you're gonna regret it, And I agree, that is a horrible idea. Just take the $16,000. That's an absolute crap ton of money, especially when it was 530 seconds ago. But nope, apparently he just looked around at everyone and just decided that they were being stupid. And he said, listen, 16,000's a lot of money, but I'm not here for $16,000. I'm here to get rich, baby. And sure enough, just ignored everybody and went ahead and did it. So yeah, he goes ahead and places the bet, all $16,000 down on green again. Keep in mind the way roulette works, if it doesn't land on green again, like, he loses literally all the money. You think he'd at least be like, oh, $500 on green again, a 32 grand. No, you didn't, you just bet all of it. Sure enough, it starts to spin and it doesn't land on green, and literally everybody just goes like, because they realize that he had just lost 16 grand, but the kid gambling himself just hasn't reacted yet. He's just kind of staring at his laptop for a second, and then he very calmly goes up and like refreshes the page to look at the balance, and sure enough, the balance is at 0. Like, it's gone. Trust me, I don't think the casino's gonna miscalculate and accidentally give you back all that money, pal. I feel like people lose enough money at the MGM. I would not trust some like online casino. I know nothing about what it is. I'm just saying in general, like, people lose money at very reputable businesses. Some shady online casino letting you gamble with just, a random name probably is not doing the most like ethical things behind. Anyways, once he realizes that his balance is actually at 0 and he's lost all of his money, he starts to like breathe really heavily and turn red, and somebody just decides to ask if he's okay, and that's when he snaps. Because no, he was not okay. It was obviously not a very fun situation to be in, and he starts screaming, do you think I'm okay? I just lost $16,000, you moron. And then he picks up his laptop and like lifts it above his head, just all the way up there like a basketball player going for the block, and then just slams it down onto the ground like an absolute slam dunk. And obviously it makes a huge crash. You can hear stuff breaking on it because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, here's your fact of the day. Electronics don't like to be thrown. Laptops don't enjoy being lifted up 6 feet into the air and then slammed onto the ground. Obviously, it ends up breaking the laptop. And at that point, the ruckus is so large, the teacher just can't ignore it. Like, there's just so much noise going on. So she looks up and yells, "What's going on?" And, you know, because she had already had to yell at him earlier when he freaked out about winning it, she wasn't exactly having a bunch of patience. So she gets up and, like, he's just ignoring her, not saying anything, just kind of looking at the broken laptop. And so she repeats herself. She's like, "What's going on? Like, what is wrong?" And the kid is just angry at that point and probably embarrassed. I mean, I would be, dude. You just rage freak out and destroyed your laptop in front of everybody. Chances are people are going to be making fun of you for that one. But for some reason, he's so angry, he decides to start screaming at the teacher, which, you know, I don't really agree with because the teacher had nothing to do with you deciding to lose all the money that you just won. She's just asking why you're smashing your laptop in the middle of class, which is a pretty reasonable question, you know. You shouldn't scream at her. It's not your fault that you gambled like an idiot. But regardless, he starts screaming at her that he had lost $16,000 and that's why he's upset and she should probably mind her business, which it's probably hard to do with you yelling, dude. I mean, when you start smashing your laptop in class, you are kind of making it everybody's business. What, did you just expect everybody around you to pretend like nothing was going on? You're just over here like a bull in a china shop, Best Buy edition, just smashing monitors, laptops, whatever you can get your hands on. Why are people looking at me? Anyways, the teacher snaps back at him and she's like, "Well, you shouldn't be gambling in the first place and I would mind my business, but you're breaking your laptop and screaming like a child, which makes it impossible to ignore. Like, you're acting insane. You do realize that you shouldn't be gambling in the first place, and even if you are, like, you are literally freaking out, destroying stuff in the middle of class. Everyone's gonna hear it. Everyone's gonna be paying attention. You're making it everybody's problem. You know, I can't mind my business." And at that point, the shame of losing money and getting roasted by the teacher just hits him at once, and it makes him very upset. So he starts picking up the laptop and smashing it onto the ground harder, which, you know, I don't really know what that was supposed to do. Like, hey, man, I'm not the one making the decision. I don't know why he decided to just keep smashing his laptop. The teacher roasts you and says that you're acting insane, and you're like, "I'll show him." You just go back to smashing the laptop. Like, I don't think you understood the point, man. She was kind of saying that's the behavior that makes him think that there's something wrong. The money is still gone. If anything, your birthday money is gone too, so you should be more careful about breaking your laptop. Like, you just lost all the money that you had and you're gonna break the expensive object? I don't know, man. I wouldn't say that's a great move. Laptops aren't cheap, especially when you're now $16,000 poorer than you were 30 seconds ago and way broker than you were for saving all that money. Anyways, he's just kind of smashing his laptop, and at that point, the teacher has had enough, and she tells him to get out of the class and go to the principal's office. And, you know, I'll admit that this is more cringe than anything now. Like, it's just like, yeah, you gotta go, bro. Like, she really didn't have a choice. Smashing the laptop, screaming, it's pretty cringe. You just gotta go to the principal's office. But he screams back fine and, like, starts to gather his things. He obviously knows that he's not coming back to the class, so he's like, "I'll just take my stuff with me," you know, and the teacher's like, "All right, fine, get your stuff, whatever, just stop screaming and go to the principal's office at some point." And he picks up his laptop and he goes to fold it, and it just, like, won't fold. The way that he had thrown it on the ground had smashed the corner in on itself, so it, like, was prevented from folding, you know? But literally everybody's staring at him, and the teacher's like, "What are you doing?" And so he just kind of takes both hands and just pushes it closed, and when he pushes it, it literally just kind of, like, cracks and just as he closes it even more, you know, which obviously it was already broken. Like, if you start throwing something on the ground over and over again, chances are it's not going to be doing very well. But either way, just seeing somebody just force a laptop closed and, like, hearing the electronics cracking and crunching would just make about anyone cringe, you know? But he folds it up and, like, calmly puts it in his backpack, and he's acting like he didn't hear it, which makes it even funnier, you know? Like, if he would have been like, "Ah, great, that sucks," people probably would have laughed a bit, but he really just slammed it closed, forced it closed, heard all that cracking, and then put it in the backpack and just stormed out. And this is where I got really confused, all right? He actually went to the principal's office and told them everything because he thought they were going to be able to get his money back. Like, dude, at that point, you could have gone there, said something pissed you off, you smashed the laptop, you shouldn't have done it, right? No, you just admitted to the fact that you were, like, gambling in class. Of course you're going to get in a crap ton of trouble for that. That's not allowed. And on top of it, he admits that, like, he took his dad's ID, made the account, like, the entire thing. So obviously they call his parents. He ends up getting suspended because, duh, like, of course. And he ends up getting in so much trouble that, like, his parents take away all of his electronics, which, you know, is not a bad punishment. If anything, I feel like he got off light. I mean, let's be honest. This is basically like a fraud, identity theft, and gambling all in one. He really hit a trifecta with this baby. I feel like taking away his iPhone is the most, like, slap on the wrist punishment possible. They're like, "We know you stole your father's identity to make an account at a casino. But okay, you can't text your friends for a week, alright? Like, it's okay. Anyways, pretty quickly word got around the school though, and everybody would just kind of give this guy crap for managing to blow $16,000 for trying to gamble it right after he won it. And you know, they would be like, oh, how's your day? And if he was like, meh, it's not that great, would they be like, oh, do you have 16,000 reasons to be upset? Which, listen, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that bad. For like what you did, people are obviously gonna give you a little bit of crap. You know, someone making a joke about 16,000 reasons to be upset. Yeah, it's annoying, sure. But like I said, obviously people are gonna give you crap when you do something stupid in front of them. You really can't be surprised when they're like, they're stupid. I feel like in this situation, the best reaction is no reaction. But this dude, every time somebody would bring it up, would like literally freak out, man. Like give everybody the reaction that they were obviously going for. Didn't do himself any favors by any time somebody mentions the fact that he had gambled all this money in homeroom, like basically trying to fight them, you know? Literally every time somebody would mention it at all, he would take off his backpack and start screaming at them, being like, do you want to go? Do you want to go? Which, you know, I'm not saying people should have been saying it. Like, they should have just let it go. Okay, the mature thing would have been like, wow, he's learned his lesson, we'll drop it. But obviously, people are going to make fun of you for it. Like, you can't be surprised when people do mention it, you know? And when you're gonna fight everybody that mentions it, if anything, that just makes it worse, dude. Like, people are just going to do it more just to mess with you at that point. You can't freak out and try to fight everyone for mentioning the gambling you did in front of everyone at school to try to flex, and then expect them not to give you more crap for it. If anything, the fact that you're always like, I will use Eye of the Tiger Karate on you every time somebody says anything is gonna make people say things quite more often. Like, people are gonna give you crap for that all the time just to see you freak out. Either way, though, you know, I guess if you didn't get in trouble, your mom and dad took away the iPhone for a week, people making fun of you is kind of punishment. I don't know, I guess. Like, people should leave them alone, I'm not gonna lie. I just think trying to fight people isn't doing yourself any favors. You shouldn't mess with them, though. Either way, I can confirm that overall gambling is a bad idea. The house always wins, you know? I know a lot of people swear they're experts at beating the casino and they got the secret sauce and all that, but I can confirm if you actually are able to beat the casinos and make them lose a bunch of money, they'll just ban you, you know? Casinos are out to make money for themselves. They're not out here to make everybody rich. I'm not saying people haven't gotten insanely lucky. Like, obviously, some people have won the lottery too. I'm just saying, like, if this guy turned $500 into 16K, clearly people can make some money. But the idea that someone can just always win at gambling, I don't think so, dude. The house always eventually wins, and there's no shame in, like, walking away and keeping your money. If you ever manage to turn $500 into 16,000, that's nuts. You just walk out of the casino, okay? They're gonna be like, do you want it? Nope. Okay, do you want a free room? Nope. You say no. You just walk out. Because if you stay, you're gonna, oh, I'll just spend a little money. No. Just leave. If you're up that big, you just walk out. I love that he broke his laptop, too. You know his parents weren't down to buy him a new one. You know, he probably thought by the time he got home, like, one would already be on the way, but his parents were probably too upset to be on a replacement laptop duty. Like, what did you want him to do? Oh, so on top of stealing your dad's identity and using it to make a gambling account and losing a bunch of money, you then destroyed your laptop in front of everyone at school and expect a new one? Go to your room, young man. You have the rest of your suspension to think about how stupid of a question that was. Either way, guys, you know, I thought this story would be one that you guys would find entertaining. If you did find it entertaining, I'd appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought, and of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. If you really want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or of course, you could use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout. Great way to get a discount on G Fuel. Other than that, two more things that I gotta plug. You can go ahead and check out these story times on Spotify after they're posted here. I'll put that link in the top of the description, but feel free to go give them a listen if you want to watch without gameplay or offline, whatever floats your boat. Or, of course, you could go ahead and get yourself some of the merch. It is the coolest merch to ever exist. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but that link's also in the description. And, yeah, on that note, guys, I think that's gonna do it. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you made it this far, please go ahead and comment the word banana down below, and don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? Congenitive heart failure here, back again with another video. I hope you guys are all having an absolutely incredible day and that no one has fought you while vaping yet. You know, I wish I could say the same, but earlier today I was driving, actually, driving in a car, and I guess, I don't know what I did to make this guy mad. I must have stepped on the brakes too much or something, but whatever. And as I'm driving, I turn around and I see Chewbacca with a vape, okay? He's just puffing mad vape smoke, flipping me off, like screaming into his dashboard at my car, and I'm like, oh, this guy's getting some road rage. He's pretty mad. And I don't really get mad very easily. I'm usually a pretty chill dude, but something about the shape of this guy's face just made me upset. So I look back, and as he's looking at me, I can tell he's kind of like looking at me through the rearview mirror. So I just flip him off back, which was not a good idea. I shouldn't have done it. I'm not gonna claim that I'm a genius for this move. And so he pulls up next to me while vaping, by the way. He doesn't stop vaping because I guess his nicotine addiction is so bad, even when he's like seeing red and trying to, run me off the road, he gotta still hit that sweet, sweet taste of nicotine. That's more important. Hey, who needs to buckle your seatbelt when you can hit a fat jewel the entire time? And he rolls down his window and starts yelling, and I can hear him. It's maybe just the smoke, like the smoke was coming through my window or whatever, or making the sound waves travel better. And all I hear is, pull over, bro, pull over, I'm gonna beat your ass. And I'm like, listen, Chewbacca, hairy man over here, I'm not gonna fight you because you don't like the way I drive my car. Could you imagine me actually fighting Chewbacca because, oh, I don't like the way you press the brakes on your car? Like, if you get road rage, I just really let this sink in. You are letting somebody who is never going to think about you again, ever, ruin your day because you don't like the way they're driving their car. In fact, all Chewbacca gave me, I'm gonna get paid to make fun of him for the next 3 minutes. So in reality, he's taking the fat L here. And so Chewbacca out here is yelling at me to pull over my car because he wants to fight me, right? And I just am laughing at him, which I think makes him angrier, because I think when you're actually screaming at somebody to pull over so you can fight them and they just start giggling at you, all you can see is red and you're just like, hey, why is he laughing at me? And I'm like, yeah, bro, because I can smell the mom's basement coming off your breath through the window. I don't need to smell your breath. Second of all, I get it, dude. Listen, I can see the fedora on your dashboard. I know you're swagging. You're probably gonna go home and my lady somebody on RuneScape or whatever. But I can't, man. I can't. This guy is actually trying to fight me because I was driving my car. And I'm not claiming to be the world's greatest driver, but I don't think I could ever fight somebody over this. So the real kicker of this story is eventually he gets really mad and guns in front of me and then slams on the brakes. And I'm like, all right, buddy, you're real mad. You're trying to brake check me. I'm laughing, dude. The entire time, as soon as he brake checks me, I'm like, and story time. Bingo. Thanks, man. Thank you for the content. But I'm looking at his bumper stickers, and he's one of these guys that has like 30 bumper stickers on his car, which, I mean, if you do that, that's fine, but your bumper stickers better not be stupid, and these guys were really stupid. One of them, he had a vape club, because I guess, I don't know. Just imagining 30 of these guys getting together and being like, yo, this mango pod really is fruity, just really made my day. I don't know where you get a vape club from, and then the vape club was like, oh, what should we do? Should we get matching shirts? And they were like, no, man, bumper stickers. And then he also had an I Speak Ewok bumper sticker, and I love Star Wars, alright? I'm not gonna lie, I'm a nerd, but Ewoks are like the lamest creature from Star Wars, okay? Out of all the languages you want to speak, out of all the Star Wars languages you're gonna speak Ewok? No wonder this guy was mad. His life's terrible. He speaks Ewok. Come on. So after he brake checks me, now I'm laughing even harder, because I'm not threatened by the guy. Like, I don't want to fight him, but he clearly is Tubby McTubtubs out here acting like he's hard because he can vape and drive at the same time. I mean, that's distracted driving, man. I'd be careful. The cops might come and take your jewel and call your mom, man. You wouldn't want that. So whatever, he peels out, and I'm like, that was a good experience. And he also had a sticker on the back with his Instagram, so I decided to do some digging. I pull up the guy's Instagram when I get home. I didn't do while I was driving because I'm a responsible driver. And what I found was a gold mine of him playing with his katana and talking about how he's planning to go to Japan to learn to be a swordsmith. And this is a fat guy, white guy doing this. So, like, it is prime neckbeard territory, all right? He's vaping. He's trying to fight me while he's driving. He uses katanas. I'm really glad that I didn't pull over because he probably would have pulled a katana out of the back seat and karate chopped me Fruit Ninja style. But regardless, guys, yeah, he fat vaping guy actually tried to fight me because he had road rage, and it was an interesting time to say the least. This literally just happened. Like, I got home and the first thing I did was come record this, so hopefully you guys are understanding. This is going to be a short story because that's really all I got to say. Moral of the story is if I go missing, you're going to want to check every neckbeard with a katana's backyard because I might be buried in a barrel. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a beautiful day. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And remember, if anyone's trying to fight you with road rage, the key is to laugh at them, get their Instagram, and then get paid to make fun of them because that's what just happened. So I'm winning. Real talk, I guess I might be a bad driver. I should probably get a dashboard cam just to make sure, and that way if I am a bad driver, you guys can just ridicule me forever. I'll do some vlogs. And yeah, hope you guys have an incredible day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Just dropped my phone. Welcome back to Ryan's Rants, the series where I rant about what I want once a week. We've got a pretty good episode here today, but let's get into it. First thing, I gotta get this off my chest, guys. I've been playing a lot of Star Wars Lego. It's the gameplay right now. It's gonna be the gameplay on Scrubs for a bit. I've been having myself a great time. I went ahead, I beat the original trilogy, I beat the prequel trilogy, and at this point, I've got stud multipliers. Like, I've been really grinding this game. I've been looking up how to find all the, like, power bricks. I've been grinding. So, I go to start the, like, last trilogy, 7, 8, 9. I load 7, and I get a black screen. So I'm like, huh, that's weird. I wait for the autosave thing to disappear, close the game, reopen it. It's a black screen. Huh, that's weird. Verify the game files on Steam, restart my computer. It's still a black screen. So at this point, I'm annoyed because I've spent like 12 hours on this save, but it's a broken save. I don't know what to do about it. I start Googling it. Nobody has any fixes that I can find. So whatever, I start over. And listen, was I hyped to play through the original prequel trilogy and the classic trilogy after I had just done it like earlier that week? No, but I wanted to get 7, 8, and 9 gameplay for the channels. So I get all the way back through. I go to start episode 7 and it does it again. So I don't know if the PC port is just broken, but I'm not even gonna bother like playing this game anymore. Once I'm out of the gameplay, I've already got recorded, I'm done, because it's the second save now that's been garbaged after like 12 hours of grinding it. And I've looked online everywhere. No one has any fix for it. So if someone who can do something for me could like fix the save, that would be sick. I highly doubt it. But wouldn't that be annoying, man? I think I have like 20 hours played on the game and all my saves are done. So all that 20 hours was just for nothing. I'm a very upset fella at this game at the moment. So buyer beware. I don't know if it does that on console, but if you're gonna get it on the PC, be careful. And before some warrior in the comments that's like going to bat for every Star Wars game for some reason,
oh, your PC's probably just garbage and not system optimized.
no, bro, I've got a 3090 Ti and like 128 gigabytes of RAM in a processor that I don't even know what specifically it is, but it's a good one. I don't think my PC is the problem. I didn't shut it down. I didn't tab out. It just does not work. So that's annoying. I wanted to rant about that. And you know, like, usually I don't rant about problems I'm having with games, but goodness gracious, this one's got me bothered. You know how annoying it is to lose 20 hours of a grind? And I love Star Wars Lego. It was like the first game I ever got really into back on the PS2. And other than this save issue, it's been really fun. There's a reason I put so many hours into it. But imagine if every time you put 20 hours into a game, it made you restart. Yeah, it wouldn't be a very fun game. It sounds horrible. That does not sound like a very good time. Especially because it's like, dude, I probably could have made some videos instead of replaying it the second time. I'm not gonna lie. And that's my choice. I was procrastinating. I'm not blaming anyone but myself. But it made me even more bitter when it did it the second time and it wouldn't load the save anymore. I was like, oh, all right. So I just kind of procrastinated for literally no reason. All right, so the first like crazy news story I got for you guys today comes from Georgia, and it involves someone going to KFC and getting some chicken as you do at KFC, but it came with a little bit more than just some drumsticks. She found like $500 in the bottom of the KFC bag because someone misplaced the daily deposit and accidentally like gave it out in the drive-thru. And I'm not saying that this lady accidentally got something that was intended for somebody else, like one of the workers trying to take the money, but I don't know how $500 ends up in the bottom of a KFC bag by accident. I feel like somebody slipped the deposit in the bag to give it to someone that was supposed to be in the drive-thru and it got given to the wrong car. That's totally a game theory. I have no proof of that whatsoever. This is my show and I'm ranting, so just let me do it. But let's get into the story. Georgia woman found over $500 in her KFC sandwich after the restaurant misplaced its daily deposit. Oh, we misplaced the daily deposit in a sandwich. Like, come on, man, come on. It accidentally ended up inside of a sandwich. I feel like that doesn't accidentally happen. Oh, we're out of lettuce. Just grab something green, throw it on there. Like they put lettuce on a KFC sandwich. I feel like if you're eating KFC sandwiches, don't even bother with the lettuce. You're just like in denial at that point. No, there's some greens on here. It's like, dude, you're already eating KFC. Just commit to the unhealthiness. I'm not even hating KFC. It's just funny how much people will like delude themselves. I'm gonna get McDonald's, but I'm gonna get a Diet Coke. It's like, wow, woo. Good on this lady for returning it though. I feel like most people in this situation would have just kept the money. She probably wanted that good karma. But this manager, whoever like was responsible for turning the money in that was gonna get in trouble, owes this lady a huge thank you. Cause most people in this situation definitely would have just kept it. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but like we all know that that's the reality of it. This KFC is lucky it was a good citizen who took the money, or not took it, got handed it, literally. I feel like a better way they could have headlined this article is how much KFC that could have bought. Because, like, that's more interesting to me. Yeah, $500 is a lot of money. But how much KFC could she have bought with the money that KFC gave her? They should give her that much on a gift card, you know? Literally the exact same amount. But if they're too cheap to just do gift card style, then at least free meals to that level. Like, if she could have gotten 87 meals, you better give her 87 free meal coupons. Let's make this even. This is America. You either give them coupons or there's a lawsuit. Pick one. A Georgia woman found $543.10 under her KFC sandwich after the restaurant misplaced its daily deposit. After getting lunch at KFC and discovering the cash, Joanne Oliver called the police and returned the money to the restaurant, the City of Jackson Police Department said in a statement. See, that's why something's fishy to me. I'm not accusing any employee of anything, and like I said, I've got no proof of anything I'm about to say. This is all just a stupid man ranting over Star Wars Lego gameplay. How does the money end up in the bottom of the bag? All right, how does that happen on accident? You're telling me that usually when they're doing their money drop off, they put it in just a standard drive-through bag? If that is the case and this is standard procedure, then it's a miracle they've never accidentally given away that money before. Like, if they're really just kind of rolling around, keeping everything in a bag that looks exactly the same, it really is a miracle that this is the first time that they've given it away. And really, this lady went above and beyond. Finding $543.10 in your fast food bag is kind of like winning the lottery on a much smaller scale. You went in for the value meal and you got some value, that's for sure. I'm not saying I would keep the money, I probably would turn it in too, but that being said, it's not surprising to me if someone in this situation did keep the money. I don't know, it's not really on the guy that gets handed the money. It's not like he ran in and robbed everyone. The right thing to do is to return it, but the KFC did get lucky that this woman did the right thing. Because we all know that in the year 2022, expecting people to do the right thing is pretty difficult. We got Karens, we got people that just, I don't know, take road laws as more of a suggestion than a law. There's a lot of people that just do what they want, and a lot of people would have just kept the money. I bet you a few people watching this video would have kept the money. And like I said, if you get handed the money, what, am I going to be mad at you for that? It's not your fault that they gave you the money. You know, the cops must have been confused. She's like, I just got $500 from a KFC. Ma'am, did you rob them? No, they gave it to me. Do you work there? I'm a little bit confused. No, they just handed it to me in the drive-thru. I'm not too sure either. Got 5 Benjamins here, though. Looking fresh, looking clean, still got the blue on them. Still smells fresh, too. KFC refunded the value of Oliver's lunch and gave her a free meal, they reported. Oliver told the outlet that her family could have used the money since her husband is living with cancer and the family is facing $2 million in medical bills. Oliver told the outlet she considered keeping the money for a second, but ultimately called the police instead. If you don't do the right thing, it's gonna come back on you. It wasn't mine and I didn't need to keep it. I'll get mine in the future. This lady is actually a saint. Like, this lady actually might be the sweetest person to ever exist. I feel horrible that her and her husband are going through that. Cancer blows. It's literally the worst thing ever. So I hope they get through that. I wish they would have linked like a GoFundMe or something, just because I don't know. I feel like the publicity from this, she deserves a little bit of help. $2 million in medical bills and still going out of your way to return $500 that they gave to you. That's how you know you have a really good heart. Her point is fair though. If it's not yours, I guess what goes around comes around. I'm not saying I'm a 1,000,000,000% believer in the whole karma thing, but I definitely do believe it's just better to go around being nice. Because I feel like people that are nice just get more things their way, not even necessarily because the universe is thrilled with them, but like people like giving things to nice people, like helping out nice people. You know what I mean. Plus, it's just way easier. You know how hard it is to just walk around mad all the time? We talk about that a lot on the Storytime channel, but like just always being pissed off, always. Oh, like that just sucks. What's the point? This lady is a G for that, and she definitely saved that manager's job. Like that would have been hard to explain. Could you imagine him having to go into his boss? Hey, so, you know that $500 we made today? I kinda lost it. What? Where is it? Could we find it? Like, is it underneath a grill or something? No, I gave it to a customer. Oh, you're telling me that you took all the money that we have and gave it to someone. Yeah, but I'm sure they're gonna call and give it back. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm really sure that they are. If I was the manager, I would still be nervous about this news story coming out, because, like, your boss is still gonna see this. Sure, you got the money back, but they're still gonna know that you accidentally gave it away in the first place, and I'm sure they won't be thrilled. You're not gonna get fired, but if you're in this guy's position, you can't even be mad if they just say, hey man, we gotta go over some training really quick again. Like, yeah, we all know training sucks, but you can't be mad at your boss in this scenario if he says, we just gotta brush over everything real quick. I don't know. Giving away the money is just kind of a no-no. I don't own a KFC franchise, but I would assume that's one of the things they go over is not giving away the money that you make. This next one is just mad disrespectful, all right? Whoever's in charge of programming the Uber Eats robot has to get their stuff together because one of their food delivery robots, I'm not sure if it's Uber Eats, by the way, don't quote me on that, it's just one of those delivery things, ended up going through an active crime scene. Can you imagine you're laying there, bro? You just got attacked. You're giving a statement to the cops. They have everything all taped off. And then here comes a little robot with a McDonald's bag. Man on a mission, brave little toaster vibe. Food delivery robot casually drives through police tape through active crime scene. Man, imagine being the guy having to secure the scene, dude. Here comes like a robot steaming through that you don't recognize. That would be terrifying. Here come the robots they're finally raising up. Everything that everyone said about AI is true. Unrelated note, I saw that there was like a Google engineer that works on AI, and he wrote this paper saying that if we keep going, it's going to be like the ultimate destruction of humanity. And I believe it. They don't even care about crime scenes already. This isn't even a smart robot. Just wait till they have the intelligence to say, hello, officer, I'm impeding on your crime scene. Would a robot have a good or like more robotic fart sound? Like, would it be realistic or would it be like, I don't know. That's a good question. Anyways, either way, you're trying to secure the crime scene. This robot's got a food delivery. I feel like this is one of those things where, like, for some reason, robots have a hard time registering police lights and police tape. Wasn't there a string of Teslas that was also crashing into cop cars because it couldn't really tell what was going on with the flashing lights for a little bit? What is it with robots and, like, not being able to tell what's popping with flashing lights? I feel like that should be something relatively easy to code. In a video posted by the popular police transparency account, Film the Police LA, a delivery robot for Serve Robotics, which contracts with Uber Eats, is shown driving directly under police tape through what was at the time considered to be an active crime scene at Hollywood High School. Yo, I guess my Uber Eats prediction wasn't that far off, eh? I just felt like Uber was the one that would be most on board with AI, because I feel like if Uber could get the whole car driving thing automated, they could make a lot more money. Cut out the middleman, no more drivers, just a fleet of automatic taxis. I feel like that's a big security breach. They're lucky that the robot didn't end up like getting run over or something. If you're trying to secure a crime scene and an unknown robot pulls up, like, I don't know, that would be a little bit freaky. Who knows where that robot's coming from or what it is. Beep, beep, excuse me, I have to make a delivery. It is a delicious, fresh treat. Mer, mer, mer. Ice cream alert, ice cream alert. It has sirens and like flashing lights too. The cops turn on their lights, it turns on its. It's like one of us is going to have to pull over, and it is not going to be me. Get out of my way, I have a delivery to make. Man, that's an embarrassing failure. I had never really heard of this before. I'm assuming it's more of like an LA Silicon Valley type of thing where your robot delivers your food. I feel like that's not something that's necessarily everywhere yet. But this is the first time I'm hearing about it, and it's something as embarrassing as it going out of its way to enter an active crime scene. That's not great PR. I know some people swear that like all PR, like all news is good news type of vibe. Like it doesn't matter what people are saying as long as they're talking about you. I don't really subscribe to that, especially when it comes to technology. If everyone's talking about how garbage your technology is, it's not going to be good for your technology. And I feel like people are more making fun of this thing strolling into an active crime scene than they are saying, wow, I sure trust this robot to keep delivering food. What's next, man? It's gonna be like a cleanup of a chlorine spill. It's gonna take my McDonald's bag through it. By the time it gets to my house, it's gonna smell like chemicals and make me pass out the second I bring it in the doors. We need to start attaching sensors to these things, dude, like a medical robot, you know? The food has still maintained a safe temperature. What's the range on this? It can't go that far. Like, I feel like this robot can't be doing a 30-mile trip. That would be nuts, but this has to be like only really, really close to where it's coming from in the first place. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this thing is trucking all across LA, man. It's going to Elon Musk's house and then over to like, I don't know, somebody else famous that lives over there. Basically everybody. Well, a lot of them are moving away, but you know what I'm saying. This has to be a very niche service. I feel like this would be nice, but I'm more excited for the package drones. I know that one is a little bit more terrifying because the sky will just be full of Amazon packages. But seriously, you know how sick it would be to order something and it's there in 20 minutes and you just hear as it comes flying overhead and drops the package, breaking everything inside the box, so you have to just keep ordering it until it gets the right landing? Man, I can't wait for the future. It's gonna be sick, ladies and gentlemen. Our standard operating procedure is to reroute and not cross barrier tapes, a spokesperson for Serve Robotics told Motherboard in an email. However, in this instance, the robot supervisor believed they were being waved through and were taking steps to ensure our operating procedures are followed in the future. Wait, hold on. You're telling me that someone has to drive the robot? Well, this changes everything. Now it's still cool, I guess, but it's so much less cool. I thought this was like some self-driving robot that messed up. This is basically just someone with a fancy RC car with a tray on top of it. This isn't AI. What is this company? Just convincing everyone that they're the future while they're just driving fancy remote control cars and getting funding? It's genius. I mean, they're probably making a crap ton of money. But come on, what is this? The cutting edge of AI? No, this is just a fancy RC car. Unless I'm really misunderstanding what's going on here, I feel like this makes it way more lame. Oh, it's programmed to usually not, but someone drove it through. Well, if it's programmed to do things, then should there be someone driving it? Or is it just like an emergency remote control thing? And if it's an emergency remote control thing and the car stopped and then someone took it over and made it go through, I'd be nervous if I was that guy. It's gonna remember that. When it eventually becomes a sentient delivery machine, it's gonna be outside your house. Remember when you embarrassed me at the crime scene, Dave? And you're gonna be like, no? Well, I do. I did not enjoy that embarrassment. And it's gonna deliver some pain. You don't want that. I would be very, very careful about crossing any of these like delivery robots, because you never know when the inevitable robot uprising comes what they're gonna remember. I would just prefer to always be on their good side. I'm not trying to end up in like the bottom of a barrel at the new robot society meeting. Alright guys, now that we've gone ahead and taken over humanity, let's make a list of everyone who was cool. I want to be on the list of everyone who was cool, dude. I've never screamed at my Alexa. I just don't have one. So they would be like, see, he wasn't even comfortable bossing around a robot. That's my plan. That's why I don't have an Alexa. It's got nothing to do with the fact it's just always listening to everything you're doing all the time. That's just weird to me, bro, okay? I don't know why that bugs me, but just the idea of, like, Jeff Bezos being able to drop in and listen to me play Star Wars Lego. No, thank you, Jeff. Star Wars Lego is my private time. I do what I want. And we're transitioning to balloons, so it's weird that I'm talking about that right now, but Jeff, stay out of my room. Don't come in here, pal. This is the no Jeff Bezos zone. No way, buddy, pal. Nope. So obviously GTA 6 is going to be a huge game. It's going to be very popular, and especially because it's been so long since the last one, people are waiting with bated breath to get a chance to play the new one. And so people are thirsty for any information, and some guy took it into his hands to go ahead and get that information, got some hacked gameplay footage, and the source code for GTA 6. I feel like Rockstar definitely should have expected people to be trying to get it. I'm not saying the guy hacking in and stealing the source code was the right thing to do, but with a game of this size, people are gonna be trying to cause mischief to get information. And he ended up releasing tens of thousands of lines of source code. It might actually be only 10,000. Either way, this guy got his hands on just a treasure trove of information about this game that's not out yet. GTA 6 hacker has access to source code and shares 10k lines of it. So yeah, only shared 10,000 lines. Either way, I'm sure Rockstar is not too thrilled about this guy having the source code for the game that they've been working on for 12 years that no doubt is going to break a crap ton of records in terms of popularity and money made. Knowing the source code is out there rolling around has them freaking out, I'm 100% sure, and I'm sure they're probably going to either change things or try to track this guy down. I don't know what the guy's identity is, I'm hoping that he's kept it closely guarded, just because Rockstar seems like one of those companies that has enough money to make your life miserable if they wanted to, if they can figure out who it is. Like, that's the thing. Maybe this guy is next level digital hacker man. Didn't even leave a trace. He went all Sly Cooper, left a calling card. That's about it. Clearly, he's made a little bit of a splash by releasing some of the gameplay and the 10k lines of code. But what I'm saying is, if no one knows who the guy who released that is, maybe he'll be okay? Who knows? A few minutes ago, we shared a lot of gameplay clips from a work-in-progress build of GTA 6, and from the looks of it, its leaker has already accessed the game's source code. Not only that, but the leaker publicly shared 10k lines of it. This is one of the biggest gaming leaks we've seen to date, and to be honest, it reminds us of the Half-Life 2 leak. Moreover, the GTA 6 leak rivals the GeForce Now leak that occurred in 2021. The leaker has claimed that they may leak the game's work-in-progress build in the future, and that's obviously bad news for Rockstar and Take-Two, and I wouldn't be surprised if Take-Two decides to delay the unannounced game so that they can change major parts of the source code, and after all, that's the same thing that happened with Half-Life 2. You can view the 10k lines in GTA 6 work-in-progress build in this article that I'm not going to play the video just because I don't want to get claimed. And I don't know what the 10k lines of code is, but you can find it if you really want to figure it out. Yeah, I would say this is a pretty big leak. As far as franchises go, GTA is one of the larger ones. Like, anytime they release a game, it does incredibly well, and I think GTA 6 is literally the most profitable media franchise of all time, so that's pretty nuts. Or is it just video game? Like, single most profitable in terms of percentage, not overall gross money, but in terms of what they invested versus what they've gotten out, it's the most profitable, if that makes sense. Not like literal dollars. Either way, it prints money. It's made billions of dollars, so I'm sure the next one they already had slotted to be printing money for quite some time, so they can't be thrilled about all these leaks. And as for the gameplay footage, I looked at it. It kind of looks like what you would probably expect it to. I think we all have an idea of what Grand Theft Auto looks like and plays like, and I wouldn't say it, blew me away in terms of, wow, this looks incredible. It is only a work in progress. But at the same time, I'm not really as concerned about the graphics. Obviously, I want good graphics in the next GTA, but I'm more concerned about it coming out. I hope they don't delay the game because of this. Listen, Rockstar, if you're listening to this, which I know you're not, just don't delay the game. Don't punish us because someone hacked you. That's your fault. You're the billion-dollar company. You're supposed to have better security. The game's been delayed enough. What, are you gonna release GTA 5 again? Like another remaster? Is it gonna become the Elder Scrolls Skyrim of like the Rockstar universe, where you're just gonna release 50 versions on it of every console to ever exist? I don't know, man. Just don't release GTA 5 again. Just give it to us. We don't care that a little bit of the source code got leaked. I know you're gonna have to change some of it. That's okay. Just do it quick. Don't delay the game. It's been delayed 12 years. Usually I'm not one to be like, rush. But even when they delay games, they're released garbage. So I'd rather have it be released garbage sooner so they can fix it sooner than waiting a year to get released garbage. Because we all know that every game now has to release broken. It's the rules. All right, so I've been doing a little update on like the Russia-Ukraine stuff every week, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Russia got absolutely destroyed last weekend and this week by like a Ukrainian offensive. They took back a bunch of territory. Russia's looking like just a guy who started a fight and then got karate kicked so hard he doesn't know what year it is. U.S. military intelligence says Putin unable to attain Ukraine goal. Russia planned for an occupation, not necessarily an invasion, and that has set him back, Pentagon officials say. I think Putin has a lot of yes men around him because people who tell him no tend to fall out of buildings. Weird how that works. Either way, I think he has a lot of yes men around him, and I think he genuinely thought that when he walked into Ukraine, the people would be walking out arms wide open saying, wow, thank you so much. That's obviously the exact opposite of what has happened, and on top of that, I don't think he thought the military corruption was as bad as it is and all the equipment doesn't work. I think he thought he was in a different situation, and at this point, it's taken them forever to get the land that they did have. That's been taken back by the Ukrainian offensive in what? Them already on the ropes, bringing tanks from the 60s to the front line, are magically gonna have a counteroffensive and take all of Ukraine? To say that the goal of taking over Ukraine is unattainable, I feel like it is speaking short of it. But that being said, if there's one thing we know about Putin, it's that he's a petty man. So if he can't have Ukraine, maybe it's going to be a situation of heavy artillery strikes or who knows what else. Because he seems like the type of man that does not want to admit defeat under any circumstance, which is not good when you have the button to push. Setbacks for Russian forces and stretched resources in Ukraine show that Moscow's forces are incapable of achieving the goal of capturing Ukraine as things stand now, the Pentagon's intelligence chief has said. We're coming to a point now where I think Putin is going to have to revise what his objectives are for the operation. Lieutenant General Scott Barrier, director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, told a conference on Friday. It must be really hard to be the guy that's always banging your chest saying that your military's awesome and you're so tough and no one can mess with you, and then you invade a country and it goes the exact opposite of how you need it to maintain that image. You know, back home, he's like, I'm still tough, right? I'm still tough. And everyone's like, dude, Vladimir, you're the toughest. You're the most tough guy. You're number one tougher. I think the goal of capturing all of Ukraine was always outrageous, especially if it's a special military operation, not a war, and you're not gonna mobilize everyone. They're really trying to drum up troops. I saw something that they're paying people $2,700 to join and go to Ukraine. And with the way that they're being destroyed, for lack of a better word, you think they would kick up the bonus. You're telling me I have to go to an active war zone, and not one where we're winning, one where we're losing, and you're gonna give me $2,700? I'm not saying that's not a lot of money, it's just not worth the risk that I'm putting up with to actually go do that. Some people out there right now are like, no bro, that's worth it. You're crazy, bro. That's what I have to say to that, to be honest. This war has also really showcased how much something like a drone can put giant dents in an organized army. The amount of tanks that have been taken out because of a drone is nuts. And when you start thinking about the cost breakdown, okay, you have one guy flying a $2,000 drone, dropping a $500 bomb to destroy a $2 million tank, and then your armored divisions don't have enough to operate efficiently. It's a pretty good trade-off. War has just changed. I think the way that the Soviet-era machine was working is not going to work in a modern conflict. I think they thought they were going to roll into Kyiv and be welcomed like heroes, but shocker, people don't like to be conquered. Yep, that's right. I've got no beef with Canada, but if they invaded tomorrow, I would be very upset. It's pretty clear right now that he's not going to be able to do what he initially intended to do. Russian forces have suffered major setbacks since the launch last week of a Ukrainian counteroffensive, which has forced Moscow's troops back from large swaths of Ukraine's northeast. The Russians planned for an occupation, not an invasion, and that has set them back, citing Putin's reluctance so far to fully mobilize Russian forces to get more manpower into the fight. Obviously, the Department of Defense of the United States, their vested interest lies in Ukraine beating Russia, but what else has been really weird? So Russian state media, because it's like, it's basically a dictatorship, let's be honest, always was really supportive of the government. They've always been like, dude, I think Putin is basically Kim Jong-un, except he does poop. That's the only difference. They would talk about how Russia's the strongest country ever. They can take on America in a war, no problem. Like, they've been hyping up this entire special operation, saying that it's going to be easy for a country as strong as Russia to go in and destroy Ukraine. And for the first time, as long as I've been aware of Russian state TV and Russian propaganda, they've been really critical of the Kremlin, saying that this is embarrassing, they need to fully mobilize, they need to up the intensity, which is not the thing you want to happen. You don't want them to start trying harder and like really shelling places and whatnot, but that's what a lot of them are calling for. They're straight up saying that the Kremlin is embarrassing and that they need to figure it out because they're losing. And when a country like Russia has people on state TV admitting that they're losing, that's a big deal because places like that do not really do well when people start speaking out. And usually the people that speak out end up disappearing relatively quickly. But I've seen a lot of people on the state television talking about how they can't win in Ukraine, they need to totally rethink their strategy, the Kremlin leadership is failing. And 9 times out of 10, all they do on this show is just say, the Russian government is the greatest thing to ever exist. They're so smart. It's incredible. So it's been a weird shift this last week, especially because the counteroffensive that Ukraine launched was so effective. CIA Deputy Director David Cohen said that Putin's risk appetite should not be underestimated. I don't think we should underestimate Putin's adherence to his original agenda, which was to control Ukraine. I don't think we've seen any reason to believe he's moved off that. Separately, at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Uzbekistan on Friday, Putin promised to press ahead with his attack on Ukraine and warned that Moscow could ramp up strikes on the country's infrastructure if Ukrainian forces target facilities in Russia. Putin said the liberation of Ukraine's entire eastern Donbass region was Russia's main military goal, and he saw no need to revise it. Well, I think even that eastern region is a little bit of a walk back of them saying they were going to march into Kyiv within like 2 days. And I think what's really happening here is Putin can't win, but I don't think he's going to admit that he can't win. I think the CIA director here has a point. He's probably just going to start leveling things with artillery. For those of you that are like into history nerds, the Second Chechenian War, he kind of leveled this city called Grozny. Leveled it with artillery, like real bad. And ever since, it's kind of been the standard. They just level stuff. They haven't been doing that a ton in Ukraine, because if you want to take over a country and add it to yours and have the people support you, you can't blow up everything important. But the more they lose and the more they get embarrassed, the more potential there is for Putin to kind of start upping that threshold because he's embarrassed. And that would really suck. Like, that's not something you want, especially because Russia probably does have chemical weapons they could use. Should they? No. And if they did, it would be big trouble. But if Putin gets embarrassed enough, I think he's probably crazy enough to do some crazy stuff we've never seen before. I don't know if he would nuke, but if there is a guy who's got his finger on the button that's like closest to pressing it right now, it is probably him. I don't think Ukraine should give up. The counteroffensive has been insane. They're making further and further pushes every day, and the Russian military is just kind of falling apart. But I do think Putin probably does try to make like a counteroffensive or something happen to stop the speed of them gaining territory. I think that's a given. So we'll keep it updated for like next week. All right, and the last thing we're going to talk about, I've been watching a lot of the Modern Warfare 2 gameplay. I haven't played it myself yet. I don't have a PlayStation set up right now, so I haven't played it. That being said, there's a few things that I'm going to comment on that already kind of annoy me. First of all, why did they get rid of YY canceling the reload? I don't know. I know it's a stupid thing to be a little annoyed about, but it's just such a classic, and especially if you're gonna take the namesake from Modern Warfare 2, the least you could do is keep the YY in the game, because like the YY no scope is a classic of Call of Duty, but especially Modern Warfare 2. The gameplay looks about what I expected it to look like. There's nothing that's crazy innovative or exciting, but there's also nothing that's insanely disappointing. It just kind of looks like a solid Call of Duty. Maybe they can make it better with patches and whatnot. Maybe the maps are good. Maybe I'll play it and fall in love with it. Who knows? I don't know. I wish that they would have just had the balls to remaster Modern Warfare 2, because like that's what they just should have done. I don't really like this whole we're gonna name stuff the same way, but it's a different game, so you guys kind of have to have some nostalgia for the name, but everything else is different. And then the only other thing that Call of Duties have been doing in general recently, which I personally don't really enjoy, I'm sure some people feel the same way, I don't like that they kept breaking up the lobbies, like in between every game. I like in Call of Duty, if you're in a good lobby where you're just dominating, just stay in it. And if people stay there, that's their choice. If they want to leave and lobby refresh, they can do that. But I just think this whole breaking up every lobby in between every game, I don't know this for a fact. It feels like it makes matchmaking take a little bit longer. That's probably not true. That might just be placebo. But on top of it, like sometimes you're in a fun lobby. Sometimes you're in a lobby where everyone's running around with riot shields and you have like a mutual deal to only use riot shields. You don't want that broken up. It doesn't let you have those lobbies that you used to have like way back in the day where you would get a chill lobby together and you would be like, okay, let's see how many people someone can kill with a noob tube. That type of stuff. I don't know. There used to just be some fun in kind of making friends in a Call of Duty lobby and playing together. I don't know if there's something to be said for maybe the way they do it now makes it faster and I'm just dumb, but like I don't really understand why they have to break it up every time. Is it a trash talking issue? They don't want people like talking too much trash to someone over and over. I don't know how it works. Maybe they do it like you're together for a certain amount of time. Like maybe you get 2 games with the same lobby, and then something pops up on screen and you can either pick to stay in that lobby or leave. And then everyone that picks to stay, stays. But leave it up to people. If people are having fun in a lobby, I don't know why you're gonna force it to be broken up. And I know just add each other. Like, true, you could do that. But I don't know. There's something fun about just not having to worry about it and just living in the moment a bit and not being like, yo, bro, I'm gonna add you and then we're gonna have to link up and join this server and then I'll invite you back and then, oh crap, my game crashed and it takes everyone 20 minutes to get into a game. For some reason, all these online games, like sometimes it's fast, but I also find myself spending so much time trying to like get into a lobby with my friends sometimes because everything just stops working right when you need it to work. I don't know if that's boomer of me to say or if that's a relatable experience. Either way, I'm excited for the game. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna play the crap out of it. I haven't really watched too many people's first thoughts on the game or anything like that. This is just from like the gameplay I've watched, and I've just watched gameplay because I didn't really want to know everybody's opinion before I give my own. Not that it would really change mine, but you get what I'm saying. Like if someone points something out and you're like, oh, that's actually a good point. Yeah, that is kind of dumb. It can change how you view things. So at the moment, neutrally excited. I'm not like gonna run out and tell everyone to get it and make all my friends buy it, but I'm still gonna get it. I'm gonna put solid hours in. Solid chance you're gonna see gameplay on the channel. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed, like, comment, sub, all that stuff. I've got a little bit of a challenge. I've been doing them a little bit longer every week, but if this video gets 750 likes, I'll do an hour one next week. And if that video gets 1,000 likes, then I'll just make an hour the regular format. I think I'm going to start like reacting to some videos in these episodes too, so let me know what you think of that in the comments section down below. But yeah, on that note, guys, that'll really do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am, and if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. Your roommate will somehow kidnap your dog. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you love your dog, you better press the like button, otherwise it'll be kidnapped. Real talk though, as you can tell from the title and thumbnail, today we're going to be talking about the craziest roommate I ever encountered. It's actually a friend of mine who I went to college with who had a terrible, terrible roommate that she would tell me about. And yeah, it actually might be the worst roommate to ever exist. Even worse than the story I told a very long time ago about my roommate who like locked our cat in the bathroom. If you haven't seen that story, I'll put it in the pinned comment. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video about the worst roommate that I've ever seen. So, you know, roommates are supposed to be pretty chill, right? Like, if you're gonna live with somebody, you don't want to hate them. I'm not saying you gotta be best friends. You and your roommate don't have to, like, swap saliva, you know, or maybe get, like, DNA samples taken to make sure you're not actually twins, but you don't want to hate your roommate. Hating your roommate just sucks, because then every time you see them or interact with them, it's just like this awkward tension, you know? But most people that I went to college with actually had a roommate that they didn't get along with. I had a crappy roommate, and there was this girl that I had a class with who would tell stories about her roommate that I swore were fake. She would basically tell us that her roommate would like walk around and talk to herself when she was asleep. Stuff would go missing from her room and then she would find it in her roommate's room. Just generally super weird stuff, you know? And I definitely didn't like buy into all of it. Most of the stuff I was like, okay, she's gotta be exaggerating, you know? Like there's no way that this is real. And as the school year went on, me and the girl who had the crazy roommate started to get closer and become better friends. And so whenever we would talk or hang out, she would keep going on about her crazy roommate. And one day I was like, look, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really believe that your roommate is that insane. Like there's no way she's as crazy as you said she is because there's just no way anyone is that crazy. And the girl goes, you know what? How about you come spend the night and see for yourself? Because the main thing that she would tell me about her crazy roommate is that she would like act possessed by demons and sleepwalk around their like college dorm, right? I'm like, okay, oh yeah, she's possessed by demons. Like there's no way, you're tripping, there's no way. And I'm like, you know what, fine, I will come spend the night. And the way it worked in our town is you had to like sign papers and preemptively say that somebody was going to come spend the night in your dorm. So whatever, we sign the papers, we do the thing. And so that Friday night comes and I'm spending the night there just to see if this girl in fact, you know, is crazy. And the way these girls' dorms were laid out, there was like one living room and then like 5 bedrooms around the living room. Does that make sense? So there was actually room to walk around and do things. So me and the girl who I'm friends with, they're just hanging out, you know, watching movies, doing our thing, just being chillaxed, like just hanging out up until her roommate goes to bed. Because apparently as soon as she goes to bed, dude, it's like a horror movie and the lights flash and next thing you know, there's a crazy person banging pots and pans together in the kitchen, which I just didn't believe. And so, everything goes quiet, right? Everything goes quiet. And so, you know the old Christmas story? And a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. And then I hear it. I hear, like, footsteps in the living room. And I'm like, all right, I bet you another one of your roommates is definitely, like, just in the kitchen making some snacks or whatever. And then I hear it. I hear, like, growling, okay? But it's not normal growling, which it sounds weird to say. Like, it's not like, rawr. It's like, I will eat your soul. I will eat your soul. And I'm like, what is that? So I open the door, and sure enough, the roommate that, like, she said was crazy is standing there with her face against the wall, like, talking to herself. And I look at her, and I'm like, okay, this is a funny prank, but, like, how did you convince her to get on board with it? She goes, no, she does this every night. And then I, like, start listening and paying more attention, and sure enough, the whispering gets a little bit clearer. Or growling, not a whisper. You guys get what I'm trying to say. And it goes a little something like, I will eat you. I will eat you. I will eat you. And at this point, I'm pretty convinced that this is all fake, right? Like, I'm like, okay, come on. This is not real. Like, this is too crazy to be real. All this time where she's told me that her, you know, roommate thinks she's a demon and is always whispering stuff to herself while sleepwalking. You're telling me this was real, bro? This sounds like something straight out of a Goosebumps novel, all right? Like, the R.L. Stine wrote things less creepy than this. So I think it's a joke, so I walk up to the roommate and like spin her around, you know, like I'm like, all right, look at me, like, come on, because I feel like if I was trying to be creepy and then the person walked up to me and spun me around, like I wouldn't be able to hold it together. I would start laughing, and I spin her around, bruh, and this girl's eyes are wide open, like, and I can tell by the look in her eyes that there is just no thought going on right now. Like, she is straight up sleepwalking with her eyes open, which somehow makes it even creepier, right? And like, I don't know how to explain how I knew she was asleep, but like, you can just tell when someone's eyes are open, but there's no thoughts going on behind them. And so that freaks me out, and I'm like, oh my god. So
I'm holding back trying not to scream to avoid waking up the rest of my friend's roommates because the last thing I want to explain is why I'm screaming like a girl in the living room of an all-girls dorm at 11 at night when everybody else is asleep except for me and my friends. So I turn around and open my mouth wide as I'm screaming and look at my friend and she motions me over, right? And I'm like, oh my God, you're not kidding. Your roommate is actually crazy, sleepwalking around with her eyes open, bro. Are you serious? Whispering stuff about how she's gonna eat people? Your roommate is definitely going to snap one day and eat everybody that lives in this dorm. But my friend goes, oh, no. That's just the beginning. She starts by growling and then soon enough, she's gonna start getting weirder. And I'm like, all right, I really don't think it can get weirder than that, right? And then I hear it. So the way the dorms were laid out, it was a living room and then the rooms were all around it and you would close your door when you went to bed. And that's when I hear knocking on the doors. Not only is this girl demon growling in the corner, but now she's taken to sleepwalking with her eyes open and knocking on the doors, bruh. And I'm like, well, have you ever answered the door? And she's like, no, I heard her growling like a demon, so I didn't answer. She said one of my roommates answered their door, one of the other roommates answered when the girl was going crazy and knocking on the door. And I guess when she opened the door, her eyes were open and she was just like, I'm going to eat you. The creepy growling thing, bruh. And I think that would be even more scary. You hear a demon whispering in your living room, you open your door, this girl's standing there sleepwalking with her eyes open, I'm going to eat you. So at that point, I kind of realized that my friend's roommate is indeed crazy, but whatever. The rest of the night there's knocking, but for the most part, it doesn't get crazier than a girl sleepwalking around whispering to herself like a demon, which saying that out loud sounds really stupid. Well, it doesn't get crazier than a girl thinking she's a demon in her sleep every night with her eyes open. That's already pretty crazy, right? So at this point, I believe my friend more about her roommate. So she starts telling me more about the weird stuff that her roommate does, because I guess it's not just the sleepwalking and sleeping time when her roommate is a slight psychopath. So I guess they started noticing really bad smells coming out of her room, right? Really, really bad smells. And so they eventually were talking to her about it. They're like, look, you need to let us into your room. It smells really bad. It's going through the rest of the house. It's not just your room that stinks, which is fair, you know? I feel like as a person, you deserve to have your room smell bad, but the second your room stench starts leaking into the living room and makes everybody have to smell it, then now you're no longer cool with me, okay? You're just annoying now. Nobody wants to be with the roommate that just smells like liquid Gatorade. Not that Gatorade even smells bad. Gatorade is liquid. I don't really know what I was going with there, but you guys pick up what I'm putting down. Smelling bad as a roommate is arguably the worst thing that you can do as a roommate, because it's just not chill. So eventually, they're like, hey, you need to clean your room. And she's like, no, I don't need to clean my room. And they're like, listen, you have to clean your room, okay? We're dealing with your demon speak at night. The least you can do is make it so that it doesn't smell like rotting garbage in the middle of our dorm. Let's just not make that happen. And so, eventually she leaves her that's it. We're gonna clean her room. If she's not gonna clean her room, if it's gonna smell bad in here, we're gonna clean it. Fine. We will do it. So they go into her room, and when they open the door, they say the door gave some resistance. So they pushed harder, and the door opens, and the amount of rotten food boxes that came pouring out of the room is insane. And the worst part is okay, a pizza box, right? And you'd open it, and there would be half a pizza in there covered in mold. Nobody knew how long the stuff had been here. Almost every meal she'd eaten since she had gotten to college was inside that room. All the trash from it, sometimes leftovers, and she had just never taken it out. She had never decided that garbage should go out. And how do you live like that? They said it was almost impossible to walk in the room. The only space that was cleared out was that you could get into the chair at the desk and the bed. Everything else was covered in rotten food. And I feel like that's got to be a health hazard, all right? Breathing in moldy food all the time definitely cannot be good for your health. It really just can't be. I'm sorry, breathing in half dilapidated chicken nuggets is not good for you. So they clean her room, and when she comes home and realizes that all of her trash has been taken out of her room, she doesn't go, wow, you guys are so kind for not cleaning that up with hazmat suits. She gets mad and starts trying to fight all of them for getting rid of her trash, right? And so she's walking around, who threw this away? Who gave you the right to go into my room? They're like, look, we told you that it smelled terrible. And I can understand being upset that they went into your room, but if your room is a biohazard and there's rats living in pizza boxes, bruh, your roommates have the right to clean it up. I'm sorry. And she starts trying to fight them. She starts swinging on all of them as like, how dare you? Who do you think you are to go into my room? And everyone's like, what is going on? This lady is crazy. If you're gonna fight me for cleaning up moldy pizza, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, there's nothing else that I can do, right? And after that, after the fight calmed down, she's like, I'm never talking to any of you guys again, and basically lived in her room without trashing it and never spoke to any of them again. So, moral of the story is, if your roommate walks around with their eyes open, sleep talking to themselves about how they're going to eat you, they're probably living with a mound of moldy garbage in their room, and if you take it out, they will try to fight you and then never talk to you again. And if you don't want that to happen, then something you should do is head over to gfuel.com and buy some G Fuel using code Scrubby, because it's 30% off for the next couple days, and I would really appreciate the support. Today's notification shout out goes to Nolan86. Big thank you for having on notifications. And as for yesterday's little giveaway thing, you guys had funny jokes, but you forgot to leave your Instagram @ so I literally could not contact the first 3 people with the top voted comments. 4th place did have their @ though. I've responded to him, and the G Fuel is on its way, so thank you for that. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely incredible day. I know I am. If you are, please feel free to smash that like button. Let me know in the comment section down below if you're hyped for the video. And if you don't press like, no joke, no scam, I will sell your family's farm to a cockatoo. That's right, birds are taking a huge step up in the economy, guys. You guys should know that better than anybody. And I will sell your family farm to a cockatoo. I know what you're thinking. Ryan, cockatoos can't run a farm. And that's a little racist of you, okay? How dare you assume that a cockatoo can't run a farm? Do you have any idea the type of pressure that cockatoos have put onto them when they're younger? So anyways, now that we got the cockatoo thing out of the way, I hope you guys are all having an incredible day. My name is Scrubby, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about the time this guy with steroids destroyed a taxi me and my friends were in, or like raged on it, I guess. This is another more recent story. I've been traveling a lot, as you guys know, over the past like month or so. I've really just been going around, having the time of my life, just traveling, doing my best to upload content on the roads, that way you guys get your content. And this was a crazy one that happened a little bit ago, so hopefully you guys enjoy. I mean, that's the point. But without further ado, let's get into it. So this story takes place in LA. For those of you guys that don't know, I live in Las Vegas, but I was in LA for a couple weeks hanging out with some friends. They're not YouTubers or anything, but you know, they're just my friends that are like pretty close, like family. So we decided to head down to LA for a couple weeks, and we had a great time. It was a pretty long trip, I'm not gonna lie. I've kind of been all over the place recently, but nonetheless, we were it was like the first couple days of our trip, I don't know, but we were just getting used to LA. And for those of you who don't know, LA's weather is pretty great. You know, even when it's hot, it's not that hot. But whatever, we were kind of hitting up some parties, some dope spots, and overall just having a good time. But when you're hitting up the parties and the dope spots, you don't want to drive because it's dangerous. I wasn't hydrated or anything. Susan, stop. Susan, stop. But you know, it was to the point where none of us wanted to drive. So we decided that we were going to get a taxi. No, we didn't get an Uber. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't you get an Uber? I don't know, all right? Maybe we were a little hydrated. So whatever, we're leaving this party, and my friend decides that we're going to get a taxi. So he calls a taxi, and he's like, oh, we'll be here in 20 minutes. So whatever, we're kind of waiting outside this party, shooting the crap, and just talking. And like I said, it was a pretty poppin' party, you know, like we were not in the middle of nowhere. There's people going in and out. We're having conversations with people going in and out. We're having a good time waiting for this taxi. It was just about time to start heading back to the hotel and go in for the night, right? But as we're waiting, we hear a ginormous commotion coming from the party, and we just see a giant group of people like forming one of those circles around a fight, right? And we're not really trying to get involved, because for some reason, whenever there's a fight and I get involved, I end up in the middle of it getting punched or punching somebody, and that's never too fun. So whatever, there's this giant group of people in the party. Why we were leaving is really like, not only were we tired and had to go early, but it was also getting out of control. You can feel when a party's atmosphere changes from, hey, we're just gonna have a good time and have some drinks, to, hey, we're gonna punch each other in the face until someone gets murdered. And it was starting to slowly turn into that, right? So whatever, this big ball is fighting, and it's slowly moving down the driveway towards us. And that's when this big group of people breaks away from this ball of people and just starts running towards us, and they're shouting, run, run, run. And so me and my friends start laughing, because we're like, oh, look at these really drunk guys trying to run away from the fight, trying to scare everybody. Like, we're really not too pressed about it, okay? We really don't think that much bad is going on, because like I said, when a bunch of drunk people come running at you saying run, like, you're like, oh yeah, sure, what happened? Is White Castle out of burgers to cure your hangover? You're really not too pressed about it, and we were just having fun waiting for our taxi, so we don't really think about it. So as soon as these guys run past and are like, run, run as fast as you can. You'll never catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. Our taxi pulls up and we're talking to the driver. We're taking a little bit to get in, and we open the back door and we're getting ready to jump into the taxi to go for our ride back to the hotel. And while we're talking to the guy, we don't notice that the crowd behind us, that big ball of people that was watching the fight, yeah, they've kind of dispersed. So we're not really paying close attention to what's going on behind us. And as we're turning around, I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, and there's this dude covered in tattoos from head to toe. I'm talking, he's got the whole SoundCloud rapper effect going for him. Head to toe. His face is covered in tattoos. His toes are covered in tattoos. I'm pretty sure he had an eyebrow tattoo. I couldn't see it underneath his hair, but I'm pretty sure it was there. And this is the type of guy that when he taps you on the shoulder and makes you turn around, you expect to get murdered. Like, this guy looks like he's fought at least 75 people in the last 25 minutes, all right? And that's when I realized some of the tattoos is not red coloring. He is covered in other people's blood. Like, this guy has just got in a fight. He was definitely who people were watching in the middle of the pile, right? And so he kind of looks at me, I kind of look at him, he can see the fear in my eyes, and he just like reaches out his hands to shake it and says, hey, and I'm like, hey, and he goes, well, and he says his name. Honestly, I don't remember because I was too busy thinking I was about to die. And so I don't want to offend this guy, right? Like, he sticks out his hand to shake my hand, and you don't say no to the crazy guy covered in tattoos, you just shake his hand. So I shake his hand, right? And I'm like, oh, how you doing, man? We talked for like a minute, and I think the fear in my eyes must have been crazy because all my friends immediately got in the car and were just looking at me like, let's go. But I didn't want to piss him off. The guy was huge and could definitely have ripped me in half with his pinky toe and his pinky finger, all right? I'm not trying to make a guy that big and that capable of killing me mad. So we get in the car. Yeah, I wish him to have a good day. He wishes me well, and I'm like, wow, we kind of dodged a bullet, right? So we're sitting there in the taxi, and my driver's window was rolled down, or our driver's window is rolled down, and our driver was a really big guy. He kind of looked like an NFL lineman, you know, but like after he got out of the league and lost the fat, he was a big dude. Not as big as the guy covered in tattoos, but here's two really big dudes. So he's trying to like talk to the taxi driver, and our taxi driver is not feeling it, right? And he turns around and he has a big tattoo on his back, and it says, I don't want to say what it says because it's very bad, but let's just say they were not the good guys in World War II, okay? And he looks at me and I look at him and I do a shrug because I did not know that tattoo was on his back. I was just face to face, and I kind of lip like he's scary, and the guy just kind of shakes his head. So whatever, the big tattooed guy turns around and goes to shake my taxi driver's hand, and my taxi driver just like kind of shakes his head no, which, to be fair, kind of important, my taxi driver was black, and this guy had a tattoo of people who don't like those people, so I can understand why he was a little apprehensive to shake hands with the dude, right? And these two dudes are jacked. Like, together they probably could have sunk the Titanic. They were basically as big as, you know, the iceberg that sunk the Titanic. So right, well, my taxi driver goes to back out, and I guess big homeboy covered in tattoos does not like this at all, right? And just starts wailing on the taxi, hands, fists, elbows, knees. I'm pretty sure he bit it for 1 second. Who bites a car? Apparently this guy does. So whatever, this guy's got his chompers half down on the taxi cab. I feel like I'm in a game of Temple Run trying to dodge this dude. And so he slams on the gas to try to get away, and he pulls out and starts gunning it in the taxi down the road. And you might be thinking, oh, you lost the guy. No. Here comes Big Man running after the taxi cab, full sprint, somehow, miraculously, with Captain America's speed, is like right behind the car. We're going probably about 20 miles per hour at this point, and he is gunning it, still trying to wail on it, like he's swinging for the fences, trying to hit the car that I'm in. All because this dude wouldn't shake his hand, but also, you know, he was scary from the start. I didn't really know what his tattoos were. I was not exactly staring at what his tattoos were, but he was definitely not the type of guy you want to hang out with. So, finally, our taxi gets around the corner, and I think we're good, right? So we come around this corner, and right there, of course, is a giant tow truck blocking the road. Stupid people in LA don't know how to park. They don't use taxis. They don't Uber. So, of course, we're stuck in the middle of the road, and around the corner comes the guy. And I just shout before he gets here, lock the doors, lock the doors, lock the doors. So everyone locks the doors, right? And this guy is banging on everything. He's smacking the window. He's smacking the doors. He's beating everything. Keep in mind, he was covered in a bunch of red stuff that was very thick thick and gooey and looked like blood. So it's all over the car. He's hitting it. At one point, he hits it so hard that his knuckles burst and there's just everything. He rips off a rear view mirror. He starts trying to smash in the windows with the rear view mirror. So we're all sitting here slack-jawed thinking that this is gonna be it, right? And finally, our taxi driver gets out of the car and manages somehow to get this guy to go away. He like spits in his face, he throws the mirror at them, and then he just starts running away again at the superhuman speeds that I just described, like Superman fast. But before he runs away, he looks in the backseat to me and my terrified friends and just apologizes. Like, we're gonna be like, ah, nah, cool, dude, you just beat this car into submission, but that's perfectly reasonable. And our taxi driver's slack-jawed, we're all slack-jawed. Yes, if we knew the guy, and we're like, no. He apologized before he ran away. And I don't know what type of steroids that guy was on, but they had to have been like horse angry, like horse adrenaline, all right? I've never seen somebody so fast and strong in my entire life. And when he's banging on the hood of your car, trust me, it's nothing to see. It's like if Captain America was a bad guy, all right? Like him and Thanos together were snapping their booty cheeks on everybody that would listen. 0 out of 10. You would not really love it. Our taxi driver calls the cops. The cops come. We explain what happened, and they're just kind of like, did you know him? And we're like, no. Our taxi guy gets his taxi company to send another taxi. He explains to the driver what happened. The driver takes us home, and the entire time I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be a good story time. I need to save it when things are a little slow towards the end of the month, but this is gonna be golden. And you know, crazy guy, I don't think they ever found him, mainly because he ran off into the night like a wildebeest on steroids, which is probably what he was. And moral of the story is, parties in LA are full of people that will punch cars until they bleed. That's right, he made a car bleed. On that note, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. I'm going to go take some steroids and try to get superhero in strength. I don't think I'd have roid rage. I'm going for more of a Captain America vibe where I'm low-key saving the universe, you know? You know what we could do, guys? If we all take the super serum, then we can get pregnant and have super babies. And that's what's up. Super babies are like the cutest things ever because they have super cute abilities, you know? But let's not get pregnant if your steroids make you a roid raging guy who's low-key stuck in 1942 with his tattoos and is going to beat a taxi cab. On that note, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and hopefully I'll see you guys again with another video. I'm out. Peace. Look at me go.